is Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Has there ever been a normal day talking about the Philadelphia 76ers? Or is this a normal day? More drama, more sagas. It all continues, and we get to talk about it today on Kincade Salciunas right here at 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade Salciunas.
We're talking NFC Championship game now, right? Like, there's no other discussion. If
Nothing
you're
less.
not having that conversation, there's just something that's completely scaring you.
You're in a beautiful platform for where you're at. A great night at the stadium. It is a great day to be awake.
Kincade Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Wednesday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny, good morning.
And a good morning to you.
It continues. Drama, drama, drama. That's all we get when it comes to our Philadelphia 76ers. And this time it's about the big man, and it has nothing to do with injuries this time.
Oh, no.
This time it has
More
everything to do.
self-created drama?
Yeah. And it starts with him. And this is a time where nobody can make any excuses for Joel Embiid. So if you don't know what took place yesterday, 2 nights ago, let's start there. There was a team meeting following their loss to the Miami Heat where they had a 19-point lead and blew it. I think they were outscored 66-29 at some point it was. I saw Tim Bontemps put that out there. It was an embarrassing loss for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Really bad.
And Joel Embiid played in that game, as did Paul George. The only guy they were missing, of course, was Tyrese Maxey, who is questionable to return tonight. It would be great to see Tyrese Maxey back on the court. But the game happened 2 nights ago, and then the media waited almost an hour for Nick Nurse to come to the podium to speak post-game. And he told the media that they had a team meeting, and that's why he was late getting to the podium. So the team meeting takes place. Nobody really knows what happens in the meeting. But, of course, every once in a while, things leak. And we'll get into that later on this hour. But it leaks out that Tyrese Maxey called out Joel Embiid individually in front of the team about always being late. Apparently, Joel Embiid has not been on time all season long for anything. We'll play a clip for you later on. Shams Charania said that they didn't even know he was going to play Monday night until he showed up to the arena to play.
No one had heard from him.
Nobody.
So he just says, is he showing up, your star player? I don't need to tell anybody. I'll just show up.
Yeah. And he showed up.
Yep.
Played.
Yep.
He didn't play well. They lost.
Yep.
So I'm going to ask a question in a second that pains me to ask.
Uh-huh.
But let me first play this audio for you from Keith Pompey, who joined the best show ever yesterday, and he talked about the team's frustration with Joel Embiid.
When you say him being late, the main problem, I mean, that's something that only they would know, right? What it tells me is there's a lot of frustration going on. I mean, I don't know if him being late is the main problem, but it sounds to me that, when you typically have, let's just say LeBron James, let's just say Kobe Bryant, typically when you have a star guy who is of that caliber on a team, they're typically the hardest worker in the gym. Even down to James Harden, right? I mean, we talk about how this guy will party and stuff like that. I'll be honest with you, you would go there and I've never seen anybody work as hard. Maybe there's a spell like you're the leader of this team, you're showing up late. Dude, you're supposed to be the guy that's the first one here and the last one to leave.
And, of course, he's not. He's the last one to get there, and I don't know when he leaves compared to everybody else, but I would guess he might be one of the first ones to leave if that's his mentality. Let's start there before I ask the question for the audience. John, when you saw the story come out yesterday and you read it, we read it about the same time. Our man Brendan Gunn sent it to us. What was your first immediate reaction?
I can't believe everybody's shocked. This is exactly who I thought he was. This is exactly who I've been thinking he was for a few years now. I've been off the Embiid train. Not his talent.
Of course not.
But him. I've been off the train because I don't believe he is the kind of dedicated leader that a franchise needed. Like, you hear the names that were just brought up there by Keith Pompey. He thinks he's LeBron. He thinks he's the most dominant player in the NBA. He's said that, quoted numerous times. He doesn't work like it. He doesn't act like it. He doesn't lead like it. And I believe that it's exactly who he is who I thought he was. And thank you, Tyrese Maxey, that it finally gets revealed and it finally gets taken out of the shadows and put into the light. Because this is the only way this gets worked out.
Right.
Only way. It's either he's going to move on from here and correct it or not. So I'm not shocked at all. This is exactly who I've argued with people for years that I think he is.
I know, but why this year?
Because he's doing it. He just got a 3-year extension. He didn't. He screwed over his entire team by going to the Olympics when he was injured. No, but I mean, that's why this year. Because they're finally tired of it, Andrew.
No, why this year? Why is Joel Embiid showing up late this year?
Because
you got the best team that you've had.
Because he doesn't care about us. He cares about him. This summer proved it.
Yeah.
When he had the chance to be a good teammate, when he had a chance to be a leader, he had to go to the Olympics. He had to not rehab an injury that he knew he had. And then go on a long extended vacation afterwards. So he needed to take training camp off to ramp up, and he still isn't ready. That's why it's this year, Andrew. Because he doesn't care. He got his money, too. Even more egregious that I've been grumpy about all long. Why in the world did you give this guy a 3-year extension? Why did you do it? What did he do to earn it?
Well.
Oh, come on.
Well,
hey,
John.
Don't even get me started.
No, that's unfair.
That's very unfair.
He's one of the better players in the NBA.
That's fine. You guys can think whatever you think. He's not a leader. He's not the guy who sets the example for your franchise.
You're right.
He literally mopes.
You're right. Tobias
things
Harris,
don't go his way.
as much as I don't like him, he was the vocal leader. He was the guy that would set up the team dinners. He was the glue guy for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah, he got paid a max contract to set up dinners. We're happy with that.
Yeah, Joel Embiid deserved it because of what he has accomplished on the court in his entire career.
No, he didn't. Because what you did is you doubled down on what you already knew you had.
Yeah, one of the better players in the NBA.
How does the contract look today? How does that extension?
I was still fine with the extension because you locked him up with Paul George and Tyrese Maxey for the next 5 years.
So today,
I wouldn't. Hey, Joe.
No, I'm saying to you,
let's give you an extension after the story came out.
Would you do? The thing is, you didn't see this coming.
No. Nobody saw this coming, John.
Don't tell me you didn't see it coming.
I did not see
come
this.
on. Okay.
I did not see the story coming out yesterday.
No, we didn't see the story coming out yesterday. But you actually are blindsided by this, that this is who Joel Embiid is.
I'm absolutely blindsided by the fact that all of a sudden he's showing up late and isn't caring when his entire career it seemed like he has cared. Yes, he is.
Really?
Yes.
No, he hasn't cared his whole career.
Dude, he's one of the better players in the NBA.
No,
of course he's cared.
No, he hasn't. Has his conditioning been good 6 years of his career? His conditioning was an issue. So he didn't care. I don't know what I don't know what you saw. He cared about
one of the better players of my lifetime. John.
He is one of the better players of your lifetime.
Yes,
he absolutely is.
That's why he was deserving of contracts.
But the work ethic's not there.
I mean, we're not turning him to Ben Simmons at this point. He's not that guy.
You loaded up on a 3-year extension for a guy when you didn't need to offer it. When he didn't show you the dedication to this franchise. He didn't. And bottom line now, you like the deal now? Do you like the contract now?
I'll agree with you that they didn't need to do it, but to say what has he done to deserve it? He absolutely has done a lot to deserve the
3-year extra extension.
5 with him, 5 with Paul George, 5 with Tyrese Maxey.
Why were you in a rush to do it? You had 2 more years,
they didn't
2 full years.
I'm not saying they needed to do it, but that's what he wasn't deserving of a contract.
No, then we're on the same page.
Yes.
You didn't need to do it.
No,
it was not. There was no reason to do it.
Right, correct. But you said he didn't deserve it.
Because, no, not at this time he did not. If he goes out the next year and shows you I'm healthy, I can play, I can do the things that I'm required to do as a teammate, then sure as hell pay him. But don't pay him now. That contract looks wretched this morning.
I mean,
what do you mean it doesn't look?
It doesn't look wretched because we are, 3 games into him playing this season? Like, listen, do you know what fixes a lot of this? Embiid goes out and drops 50 or 60.
Nice.
Yes.
And he can still do that being late to stuff.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't mean it's good for the organization.
No, it's not.
We have bigger problems than what the guy's getting paid.
What are the problems for the organization that don't serve that he can't correct?
No, he can correct him. He can start showing up on time.
We're talking about a 30-year-old man, guys.
Yes.
We're
Yes,
talking
we're on
about
the same page with that.
you're expecting the unicorn. You're expecting something to change. He is who he is. He's the same guy he's always been, except now he's in his 30s, and he's gotten paid the bag.
He had the bag
he is
before
not-
this.
Yeah, he did have the bag
He just
before.
got
This is
the biggest bag of his
This
career
is his second max
this summer.
contract. He already did.
He had a
already-
signature shoe. He
Yeah,
had
he's
a
had-
max
he's had
deal.
plenty
This is
of
not
money.
Joel Embiid got paid and he quit.
You got then what? Explain to me what
I
this
can't,
is.
John. That's why it's such a weird thing.
Give me a theory.
This is
then.
exactly here's exactly what it is. He was selfish playing the Olympics, which you and I did not want him
We
to do.
did not want him to do.
As JoJo, one of JoJo's biggest fans in the city, I wanted nothing to do with him playing in the Olympics.
Listen to how JoJo's biggest fans.
JoJo, okay. Fine.
What I'm saying is,
Joel
I'm saying-
Hans
Okay, let me
Embiid. I'm
take
saying that's
it
freaking legal name.
No, Joel. Joel Embiid.
Joel played in the Olympics. I did not want him to play in the Olympics. He has not been healthy to start the season because he played in the Olympics. That is the problem.
Oh, no, I think, too, the extended vacation after the Olympics when he could have been getting ready for the season, when he said, screw that. I'm doing what I want to do. Just like he did go to the Olympics, I'm doing what I want to do. This guy's the same guy. He's always been.
Well, and then
whether it's
hopefully-
playing Xbox till all hours of the morning, whether it's sipping his sugary drinks, whether
Shirley
it's
Temples,
eating
baby.
whether it's eating crap and not doing the best to be in condition, he never has shown you the ability to be professional.
He went through 3 years of MVP candidacy where none of that was a discussion. Where did this come from
He
now?
absolutely did. And then what was the, I really want to win a championship, whether it's here or somewhere else.
Yeah, that was
when he
bad.
had a long time, when he already was under long-term extension to the Sixers. What the hell's that about?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's a fair
I want
question.
to win a championship in Philadelphia or somewhere else.
But I think what's with Andrew and I is we saw this type of Embiid when he started his career. And then we went through like a 3 to 4 year stretch where we didn't see
none of
this
this was
guy
talked
at
about.
all. And all of a sudden he's back. So how did we get from MVP candidate looking like a leader of a team, sure injury prone, but we believed he could be a leader of this team, and now we're back to this guy. How does that happen?
You didn't see any of these things in the MVP runs? How about when his teammates had to go to Miami for a Christmas Day game, and he said, no, I want to stay home and be with my family, perfectly healthy. I want to stay home. I don't want to go play in a Christmas Day game. When every star in the NBA wants to play on the marquee day for them, Christmas Day, what did he do? No, I want to stay home and be with my family. So you guys go to Miami and try to win without me. So don't tell me this stuff hasn't gone on all the time. He is who he is.
Yeah, but nobody's calling him like a perfect.
What do you mean perfect? I'm not
Nobody's
asking
calling him
anybody to be perfect. Come on, Andrew. He's got a game on the marquee game of the NBA.
It's not what you're calling him, John. We're not saying he's perfect. We agree with a lot of stuff you're saying. But the thing is, largely over the past 3 years, this has not been a discussion.
Well, then that statement I'll agree with.
And that's what I'm saying.
I'll agree with. Largely, it has not. But then he reverts.
Okay,
He reverts to form.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out what reverted. Why all of a sudden this year is he showing up late? Why all of a sudden this year is it getting to the point where Tyrese Maxey, and you said it, good for Tyrese Maxey. I am proud of Tyrese Maxey.
A professional.
I can't wait to see how Joel Embiid responds to this. Joel Embiid has had veterans around him his entire career. They did it in the very freaking beginning with Carl Landry and Elton Brand when they were trying getting some guys around him to help him mature a little bit quickly. And it didn't work at the beginning because Joel Embiid was not a mature individual because they gave him the keys to the freaking city before he stepped on the freaking basketball court. I do believe it started with the organization, which melded into his mind, and everybody is to blame in this situation. I can't wait to see how he responds, either like a 50-point game, as Connor says, or he is a mope on the court. I don't know how it's going to play out. We'll find out tonight when the Sixers play again. But I'm curious to see how he responds because, let's face it, Tyrese Maxey's the first guy to call him out, other than P.J. Tucker. When P.J. Tucker was like yelling at him on the floor a couple years ago in the playoffs, we have never really kind of seen this accountability from one of his teammates before, or we just haven't heard it yet.
I imagine Jimmy would have. Like, I imagine at some point when Jimmy Butler was in the building, he would have said something.
Probably.
But we didn't hear it really come out.
Right.
You think there's a plan? You think it's orchestrated?
I don't know.
Why does someone just not show up for work and not call? Because that's what he did. Like, I mean, seriously, that's orchestrated.
What, orchestrated for what? Like, what do you mean?
If you know you've got a shoot-around to be at, you know you've got a shoot-around in the morning, you got something going on, everybody's wondering, are you playing or are you not? And no one from the team knows, that's orchestrated. The pregame shoot-around is probably, 2 hours before the game? Hour and a half before the game?
Yeah.
And Joel Embiid rolls into the stadium like, yeah, I'm here.
You're saying orchestra. What do you mean?
For what?
Why did he not let anyone know? They had no idea what his status was. They had no idea. His coach, his teammates, they had no idea what was going on with him.
But, like, in your mind, what is he trying to orchestrate?
I don't know. I'm asking you. Is he trying to orchestrate something?
No.
Then what is it then?
I think it's
Why
just,
do you just not show up for work?
I
That
don't
doesn't
know.
make sense.
Because he's being lazy, because he's not being, like, I don't know, because he's oversleeping,
he's not
because he
necessarily-
doesn't care.
Well,
You
I'll say-
overslept. Wait, you overslept till 5 in the afternoon?
John, the point is, I don't think there's, like, this ulterior motive from Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I don't think he's like trying to work his way out or anything.
Then what? Could you explain how you could not? The team doesn't know your status, whereabouts, or otherwise.
I don't know. John.
Then that is orchestrated. That's you purposely going, I'm not telling them where I'm at because it's 5 in the afternoon. By the time it's 5:30 in the afternoon by the time they find out what the hell he's doing. That's you as a grown man making a conscious decision.
I'm not
to
saying
not
I
contact.
agree with
no,
it.
but I'm saying is it has to be orchestrated. You're making the decision not to tell somebody. You're either being mopey or you're pissed about something or you're trying to create controversy. It wouldn't be the first time. This town, there were people here begging for James Harden. James Harden pulled this crap with 2 franchises.
I know.
But do you believe that would never be in the playbook of Joel Embiid?
Could be in the playbook. I'm not sure. I don't have any like conspiracy theory going on
It's
right
not
now.
a conspiracy theory. It's something. Something's going on. So it's either it's orchestrated that he wants something, or he's just the absolute most unprofessional athlete ever.
Which I can't. I hope that's not the case, John. Hope is a big word that we're using right now.
Big time.
So we have a couple of questions for you to start the show. At 610-632-0975. And look, this is a question that I don't like asking, but it has to be asked. Are you still on board with Joel Embiid? Or if there was a way that you could move on, would you? Now, you know how I am. I'm going down the Titanic here because of the basketball ability, because of how dominant of a basketball player he is when clearly his head's on straight and when his knee isn't soup, which it might be right now, and that's his fault. Absolutely his fault. When you hear me say I'm going down with the Titanic, it's because I need to believe that at some point it can click. And if it doesn't click, all right, I didn't think there was a better option. That's my other thing. Like, I don't think trading Joel Embiid, you're all of a sudden going to build a championship contender in the next couple of years, which you kind of need to do now that you have Paul George on a 5-year contract.
Okay.
You can't tank and rebuild when you have Tyrese Maxey and Paul George on max contracts. You just can't. But I'll ask the question. Are you still on board with Joel Embiid, or if you could move on, would you? John?
I think he's moved on from you. I think he's moved on from us. I think he's mentally checked out.
Okay. Would you move on from Joel Embiid?
Right now, I absolutely know who this man is. I know who he is. But they can't trade him during the year, if I'm not mistaken. They can't move him now.
Yes, they can.
I thought you had to wait till after the year because you just signed the new contract. Because you just signed the extension. So, yes. Do I think this is ever going to work? I told you guys 3 weeks ago when you said, what's the ceiling for this team? Championship. I mean, I respect you guys. I laughed at you. I said, no, it's not. Not with Joel Embiid. It's not. And now
it'll never be with Joel Embiid?
They'd be far worse without him. No, this version of Joel Embiid, I don't believe that there's another version in there. I don't believe there's another version in there. I don't believe all of a sudden you wake up and you're 31 and you decide, you know what, now I'm going to be a professional.
Could be.
I don't believe that's there. So as far as that's concerned, on him, I'm out.
So that's question number one. Question number two, we'll get into this a little bit more coming up next, about whether or not likability matters to you. Because on the same day when Joel Embiid is getting leaked about not being on time for anything, Jalen Hurts is saving city schools with air conditioning. So does likability matter to you? Because let's face it, John, there are a lot of people that don't like Jalen Hurts as a quarterback.
They're all over him.
Does likability matter to you? Also, this should never gotten out to begin with. I appreciate the 20 minutes of content, but something's going on with the Sixers if this stuff's getting out. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The rookie wall a concern? I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by AAA Car Care. Save $40 on any repair of $150 or more at AAA Car Care Centers. Offer valid through November 30th. Details at AAA.com/mycar. The Eagles are turning their attention to a matchup with the Los Angeles Rams Sunday night in L.A. Some of the concern with the performance of the young players on the defense is the sustainability over a full season. And as we get deeper into the season, Vic Fangio met with media yesterday and talked about the idea of a rookie wall.
Back in the day, you used to hear rookies hitting the rookie wall. I don't think that rookie wall exists anymore because you'd have two-a-days in training camp. Well, that don't happen anymore, so I don't buy the rookie wall.
So we'll see if that holds true as the season progresses, and the defense, we'll see if they continue their high level of play, especially the young players. The Sixers, well, they had a team meeting Monday following their loss to the Miami Heat down in Miami. Per reports, Tyrese Maxey called out Joel Embiid for lateness at team events, among other discussions amongst the players and coaches. We'll see if that conversation starts to pay off as they take on the Grizzlies down in Memphis tonight, 8 p.m. You can hear that game live right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. The Flyers will take on the Hurricanes at 7:30 p.m. tonight at the Wells Fargo Center. You'll be able to hear that game live on our sister station, WMMR. Adam Schefter of ESPN joins us coming up at 8 a.m. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
D-Linum.
So Embiid's team.
morning here on 97.5 The Fanatic. The phone lines are blowing up. The text line is blowing up. And we got a game tonight. The 2-11 Philadelphia 76ers following the team meeting where Tyrese Maxey called out Joel Embiid and said that he was late to everything and how it's affecting the entire team, including the coaching staff. That squad is in Memphis tonight, taking on the Grizzlies.
Well,
Must win?
They're terrible.
Oh, yeah,
so
absolutely.
They're terrible, so they're going to win.
They're not terrible, but
oh, wait a minute.
no, the Sixers need to start winning basketball games, and we have been talking about
they're
that for a
terrible.
couple of weeks now.
The Sixers are terrible.
Yes, the Sixers are a terrible basketball team. They are 15th in the Eastern Conference. That makes them a terrible basketball team. Does that mean they can get better? Of course they can get better. But let's see how he responds tonight. Tonight is a night where you're not just watching basketball. You're now watching body language. You're watching the bench when Joel Embiid is not in the game. Is he sitting next to certain people? Is he talking? How are things being handled? This is a night where you watch post-game press conferences when a lot of people probably don't for basketball. I think a lot of people like watching the Sirianni post-game presser and Hurts and Barkley. I don't think many people sit down and watch the post-game press conferences of Nick Nurse and Joel Embiid and other players over a course of an 82-game season. You get that tonight. So, our question to start, are you still on board with Joel Embiid? Or if you could move on, would you? 610-632-0975. And we're going to get into a conversation about likability in a second, and we'll get to your texts and calls because, boy, do we see you. But, Johnny, as much as we appreciate the 20 minutes of content to start the show and what will be content for another 3.5 hours, so buckle up, we'll mix in the Eagles today, of course. It's middle of November. They're the second-best team in the NFC. But this never should have gotten out. There's a problem with this organization for this to get out. There has been a problem with this organization. For all of you who say they just need to get into the playoffs healthy, I have been saying, as one of the bigger Sixers fans in this city, that this team does not have the culture to go into the playoffs as a 7 or 8 seed and make a run in the playoffs. They just don't have that. They don't have that winning pedigree. The Miami Heat did it a couple years ago because of Heat culture, Jimmy Butler, Eric Spoelstra. The Lakers got to the Western Conference Finals as a 7 seed. Why? Because of LeBron freaking James. And that's all I have to say. The Sixers don't have that pedigree, that kind of culture. And it should never have been leaked out. And it's one thing for you and I to say it, and Connor, who is a former athlete.
Very former.
Seriously.
We also have another former athlete, but a professional athlete that works here at the station. So yesterday during the best show ever, I loved this perspective from one Ricky Patalico. Here he was talking about not only the situation with Joel Embiid, but how bad it is of a look for this to have gotten leaked out to begin with.
When that leaks out of that locker room, there is a huge problem within that organization, within that team, within those players that are on that team. Whoever is responsible for leaking that should not be there anymore. Should absolutely be let out of the room and say, goodbye, we don't need you anymore. Because that is a bunch of garbage, what happened. When we have had team meetings, when I've been on the Phillies, we don't sit out there and run to somebody in the press and say, hey, guess what happened in the meeting? Keep it within the family. The media is not your family. The media is looking for something to eat outside. And when you give them something, they are going to run with it. Where Shams came up with this, I don't know. We don't know that. We may find out at some point. But if I am somebody on that team, I am absolutely livid.
Great perspective from a professional athlete. So before somebody goes, oh, hot take radio, that's Ricky Patalico.
No, that's an actual professional athlete speaking their mind on the subject. I thought that was one of the best things I heard yesterday on the entire discussion.
That does not absolve Joel Embiid of anything.
No, it doesn't.
But that should never have gotten out.
Well, what if I told you I would give it a coin flip right now that Embiid's can't let it out?
Why?
I'd go coin flip because I don't think that – I think that the people who were trying to confront Joel Embiid behind closed doors are trying to get a better version of Joel Embiid. They realize they can't win without him. They want him. They want him to step up. They want him to be a professional. They want him to do the things you're supposed to do. So I could see it being in Joel's camp. Help me get out the door.
Now you say coin flip.
Coin flip. I think it would just as well 50% somebody else leaked it, 50% Embiid's camp leaked it.
All right. I saw. Do you have your tinfoil cap on?
I do not, but I have gray hair.
Okay, so does that work?
That does.
Did
No,
you
it
bring
works
Did you bring the tinfoil in today?
the
Like I
same
asked
way.
you, Connor.
Damn, I forgot.
I asked you to bring the tinfoil in with your amoxicillin.
Well, I would have been late, and I don't want to be late because that gets people in trouble.
So
around
here were the theories.
You're not Brendan Gunn.
Here were the theories that I read on social media yesterday. All right,
Okay.
so obviously there's the Joel Embiid theory. There's a Tyrese Maxey, Rich
Well, what's
Paul,
the Joel Embiid theory? That he released
That
it?
he released it.
Okay.
or his camp. As you
Right,
said.
his camp.
There's the Tyrese Maxey, and who's his agent?
Rich Paul.
Rich Paul theory, which let's not act like Rich Paul hasn't had his fingers on things in the past.
Okay.
Okay.
Shout out Adele.
There is a Nick Nurse.
Oh, my gosh.
There is a Nick Nurse theory because Nick Nurse, apparently, when he was the head coach of the Raptors, there was another leakage story where he said there's an elephant in the room. The same terminology was used in the Sham Charania story.
That's a normal.
I know that it is.
That's a
like I
normal
said,
thing. That one's a
I
reach.
told you, put your tinfoil
Yeah,
cap on.
that one's a big reach.
Now,
Yeah,
this
that's a
one's
big
the
reach.
greatest one that I read out of all of them.
What's that?
There were leaks coming out of the Suns locker room last year, the Phoenix Suns.
Okay.
Eric Gordon played for the Phoenix Suns last year.
Oh, yeah.
Eric Gordon has nothing. He has no attachment to the Philadelphia 76ers other than getting a contract from them this year.
No.
Like Eric Gordon's not a 50 years from now, I'm not going to be
No,
like,
you'll be able to recite that he was
Yeah,
here.
you're right.
You recite when you were a cosplayer.
That's right.
All the players you watched.
but not many people are going to remember the Eric Gordon era when it comes to the Sixers. He's got nothing to lose. So that's another tinfoil cap theory that maybe he was a bit of a leak last year with the Suns. Is he now a leak this year with the Philadelphia 76ers?
It was reiterated to me yesterday that how much Tyrese Maxey loves Joel Embiid. That someone with much more knowledge than I have telling me Tyrese Maxey adores Joel Embiid.
Maybe that's why he was the
That
best
this has-
person to say it.
That he'd be the one that it would have the most impact.
Because back to Eric Gordon, with all due respect to Eric Gordon,
There's no
no
tie.
You've had a great career. If Eric Gordon said something to Joel Embiid, it's like, yo,
Dude, you've been here for a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I think the big money contract for Tyrese Maxey allows him to have the cachet to say that, but that it was reiterated to me that how much this young man adores Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
And so how bad does it have to be?
Well,
How bad does it have to be?
might not have-
late to everything.
And also, too, he literally crushed. Like, Tyrese Maxey wants to win a championship.
Yes.
Other guys want to win. He crushed this team's chances. He crushed them by his own selfish actions and his own summer vacations and everything like that. And then he has no urgency. And then he just does whatever the hell he wants to do. Oh, nobody knows if I'm even playing tonight? Well, we'll play this game. That's with agenda. That is done with agenda. If you know everybody at work's trying to figure out, well, is he coming back? Like if Connor goes, yeah, I'm just going radio silent. They'll find out Wednesday morning whether I'm coming in or not.
Well, I was going to do that.
That's
but,
but that would be bullcrap.
no, I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that I think that the last excuse maker for Joel Embiid, please turn off the lights.
No, there's no
Please
excuses.
turn off
There are no
the
excuses
last
for it.
person who
Right.
just doesn't want to. I don't think people wanted to know or wanted to see who this guy is. He is this guy.
Connor,
This is who he is.
One of our topics yesterday, to what John just said, last excuse maker, shut off the lights. One of our topics yesterday was if you are one of those spin zone people trying to find the positive, can you give me one? And I think we had, one or two real ones, like real,
Yes. Yeah.
One guy, and I didn't agree with him. The one guy was like, well, this is actually great because Nick Nurse is having the opportunity to play everybody, and he'll find out
No.
who
Which
is.
was no.
Stop.
Yeah,
He-
not.
so
Like
that was
direct
my man.
positives?
That was my man Derek.
Yes, people were trying to find a
Yeah.
positive.
And I was just like, guys, this is coming from me. There's no positive spin on any of this. And then that stuff breaks after we get off the air yesterday. There is not a single positive that you can give me right now other than hope. And that's not enough.
There's one thing, and it's timing, right? They're, 2-11?
Yeah.
Happening now means they're not completely dead and gone. If this happened in
January.
December, January, and they were 15 games under 500. It's like, okay, well, this team's in the crapper for the entire
What
year.
did I say to you guys during worry time the other day? If you guys missed it,
I blocked out worry time.
We had a segment called Worry Time because there's a person who believes worry time is good for you.
Like 5 minutes of worry a day.
That's stupid. My worry time was, if this continues to go in a bad direction, when do we see Mr. Emotional? When do we see Mr. Mope?
Well, we're seeing it right now.
How do I know that this timing's good? How do I know that he doesn't completely get lost? Well, in November, and then all of a sudden they're 2-16, and then there's the come to Jesus moment. But now you're 2-16, or you're 3-18.
Yes, but undeniably, the sooner it happens, the better. Because the closer you get to the trade deadline, the more you have to figure out what you're going to do. The deeper you get into the season.
How about this? The moment it never happened is better.
Okay, well, guess what? We're past it, so we got to live with it.
A 31-year-old grown man.
Yep. All right. Well,
31-year-old grown man.
Coming up next, we promise we'll talk to you. Phone line, text line. Also, you'll hear a little clip from Shams. He broke the story yesterday. He was on with Pat McAfee, and there was a little moment that we kind of touched on a little bit that caught our ear about Monday night's game with Joel Embiid. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Ricky Vitalico.
This is a team that has a lot of weapons. I mean, you look up and down defensive.
The Fanatic on a Wednesday morning. Adam Schefter joins us at 8 o'clock as he does every single week. We have an awesome prize for you guys today.
Really great prize.
We will do our Know the Schefter, so you have to listen closely to our conversation with Shefty. It's basically a spinoff of Know the Show. Something Adam Schefter will say will be the question and the answer for a pair of tickets to see Post Malone and Jelly Roll next year at Citizens Bank Park, May 24th, 2025. Jelly Roll's booming in the industry. Post Malone, everybody knows his work of art in many different genres of music. I mean, that guy's just talented as can be. So a really cool concert that we have a pair of tickets to give away. It's called the Big Ass Stadium Tour, John.
That's good.
I like that.
Spot on.
The Big Ass
spot
Stadium
on.
Tour next May at Citizens Bank Park. Tickets go on sale Tuesday, the 26th. But we'll give away a pair of tickets today in the 8 o'clock hour. All right, let's talk to the people. But first, here's Shams Charania, something that caught our ear that we've touched on so far to start the show, talking about Monday night with Joel Embiid.
Yesterday, Joel Embiid was listed doubtful most of the day. Teammates, coaches, no one really heard from him. And then he shows up at warm-ups, plays in the game. They had a double-digit lead, great lead in the first half, completely 180 flip in the second half. From what I'm told, it was kind of like this. Big fella is someone that Tyrese Maxey loves, but this was the elephant in the room, and Tyrese Maxey addressed it. They're very close. They're very close friends. They hold each other accountable. But last night, Tyrese Maxey delivered a message to Joel Embiid that I think a lot of people saw coming for a really long time in Philadelphia.
So,
By the way, it's the only thing I'll disagree with.
what?
No. He's completely incorrect. No, a lot of people didn't see it coming for a
people
long
not
time
see
here.
it.
Most of the time here, he's gotten his backside kissed in this town. He's gotten excuses made for him left and right and over again. So that is wrong, Shams. In this city, he has had his backside kissed.
See, I also call him the most disrespected athlete in Philadelphia,
Ridiculous.
but that's,
He
our
constantly has-
algorithms are different.
He constantly has excuses made for him. His entire career here. It has been excuse after excuse, even when he doesn't do his part.
Well, I don't think anyone's excusing him right now.
No,
Well, no,
not at
now
all.
you can't excuse this. This even takes even the dopes, and I said it, dopes, who would excuse every single thing this guy does. Even they cannot come in today and go, yeah, you know what? I understand. Yeah, Joel really is being treated poorly here. No, he's being a jackass with this, and it's bad. It's really unprofessional. It's really bad, and supposedly he's a really good guy, and it's a shame that he just, for whatever reason, can't be a professional.
I just don't know why this all of a sudden came back. It's weird to me. Like, you're the man. We get it. You're the guy on this team, but you've been the guy. Like, it's not like
Right.
he then all this. It's not like he got anointed the guy of the Sixers this offseason. He's been the guy since he started playing basketball in a Sixers uniform. I don't know why all of a sudden this year, unless the gold medal is like the biggest thing in the world for him, and he now looks down on everybody, which I can't believe that to be the case. I don't know. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to our text line because the people are hot and heavy this morning. Let's start with Sean in Philly. What's up, Sean?
Hello.
Hi,
Hey,
Sean.
Hey, okay, I like the show and everything, and I really appreciate you guys.
Thank
but,
you, buddy.
John, I don't agree with you a lot, but I do agree with you on this, and I just want to address this point. I think he is done with Philly. Just based off the fact of probably how that story got leaked out, and I don't agree how it got leaked out, and I don't know who leaked it out, so I can't speculate on that. But I do agree he is done with Philly, and I think they're going to end up trading him at the end of the day.
Why do you think? I want to ask you, and then we'll talk more about it with John. Why do you think he's done with Philly after just getting the contract extension? He also had to agree with the contract extension.
Yes. Okay.
So why 13 games in does he all of a sudden want to go? And as Connor reminds me, he can't even be traded this year.
Yeah. So it'll have to be in the off season. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, Sixers fan, and Flyers fan, but we could be negative a lot of the times, and I just think he's done with the negativity. I just think he needs a fresh start, and I agree with him. I think he just needs to go and just find, his own path.
He's the one who creates the negativity, though.
So I don't agree with that. I think sometimes, John, something that you just said a couple minutes ago. I don't think he had his backside kissed all the time. I think the negativity goes his way just due to him being injured, and a lot of fans.
How about how he take me through how he conducted himself this offseason?
Well, he went to the Olympics, which was by his choice. Is it a surprise that he's injured often?
No, he was injured. He was injured at the end of the regular season. He knew he was injured. He shouldn't have gone to the Olympics, but he chose to do it anyway. Self-indulgent, do what he wants to do on his terms.
Thanks for the call,
And then
Sean.
what happens? He screws over the entire team.
Yeah.
Oh, and then, of course, the extended almost month and a half, 2-month vacation after going to the Olympics.
He had to rest up, John.
Well, obviously not rehabbing.
See, now this is where
It's just it's ridiculous.
now this is where I like you do the listening ears.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I gotta turn them off sometimes.
On what?
So a guy, Nathan, responds to the video that has been tweeted out about our initial conversation this morning. And he says that I'm a fanboy and hardly objective, which, go ahead, you can have that opinion. He says Joel Embiid is a good player at best.
Oh, that's crazy.
Now, I responded respectfully, I think. Calling Joel Embiid a good player at best could be the worst sports opinion you've ever had.
I would say that
that's stupid.
I would say that is a ridiculous take.
Like to call somebody
That's a ridiculous
to call an MVP and a 2-time runner-up MVP and a scoring leader in back-to-back years a good player at best might be one of the dumbest, stupidest things I've ever heard somebody say about Joel Embiid.
I would agree.
You want to call him a bad teammate, bad leader, and how him playing in the Olympics was stupid, which I still believe was dumb. And
by the way, you have not, for a fanboy, as he's depicting you, that was Andrew's opinion from the beginning.
Yeah,
that was something where him and I...
Before the Olympics.
That was something where Andrew and I were on the same page.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not like if you were a fanboy, you would have argued that with me that... You would have argued that just out of principle.
I didn't believe in the whole, he's going to become a better basketball player playing with these guys.
Joel's going to be better because he's going to learn how to be a dog playing.
To call Joel Embiid a good player at best,
that's crazy.
That's just dumb.
That's dumb.
You know?
That was a dumb
Come on now. All right, so coming up next, we reset the show. Obviously, we're talking a lot about Joel Embiid, but I want to get in this conversation about likability as well. We'll expand on it more, but Jalen Hurts did something what I believe should be completely likable, which is helping the kids in Philadelphia. Does likability matter to you? It's Kincade and Salciunas on a Wednesday morning. Get Adam Schefter at 8 o'clock right here, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Defending the defense, I'm Connor Thomas. This update is brought to you by your local PJ Wellahans. Enjoy fall happy hours with friends with $3 domestic beers and $5 wings every day at 3 p.m. at PJ's. Everybody loves PJ's. The Eagles are turning their attention to a major matchup with the Los Angeles Rams. Another primetime game for the Birds Sunday night in L.A. And while the defense doesn't need much defending these days, they've been pretty darn good over the past 5, 6, 7 weeks, really most of the season. Vic Fangio was asked his media availability yesterday about the rookie wall and whether or not he's worried that these players will be able to hold up throughout the entirety of the season.
Back in the day, you used to hear rookies hitting the rookie wall. I don't think that rookie wall exists anymore because you'd have two-a-days in training camp. Well, that don't happen anymore, so I don't buy the rookie wall.
So it seems that Fangio has faith that the defense will hold up over the course of the season. We'll see if that holds true. We'll see what the Birds can do against the Rams on Sunday night. The Sixers had a team meeting Monday following their loss to the Heat. Per reports, Tyrese Maxey called out Joel Embiid for lateness at team events, among other discussions amongst the players and coaches. We'll see if the conversation starts to pay off as they'll take on the Grizzlies tonight in Memphis at 8 p.m. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. The Flyers play the Hurricanes 7:30 at the Wells Fargo Center. You can hear that game on WMMR. Adam Schefter joins us coming up at 8. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Now is the time to become a Fanatic MVP. Go right now to 9.
97.5, The Fanatic. Adam Schefter joins us in an hour at 8 o'clock. Again, don't forget, know the Schefter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Post Malone and Jelly Roll on May 24th, 2025. An awesome giveaway that we got for you. All you got to do is listen to Adam Schefter. I think that's an added bonus to already listening to the greatest insider in, I would say, all of sports. But we can just say the NFL to start, even though I still believe all of sports.
Think he's there?
Yeah. All right, so coming up later on this segment, John says that there's a major test this weekend for the Eagles.
I think it's huge. And if they pass this test, Andrew?
Well,
if they pass it?
If you remember what was my big test for Thursday night, it was the linebackers. And boy, did they show up.
They did.
And they tell me that game against Jaden Daniels, a rushing attack and a quick passing scheme, tells me that Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean are real and ready to go and ready to take their games to the next level or be a part of a Super Bowl contender. I learned that last Thursday about Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean. What could we learn this Sunday about the Eagles defense going up against the LA Rams? We'll get into that coming up later on this segment. But here's obviously what we've talked about today. It's the biggest story in town. Joel Embiid, they had the team meeting 2 nights ago. It gets leaked yesterday that Tyrese Maxey called out Joel Embiid that he's late to everything. Now, what we have not talked about so far today, apparently it was a good meeting. Apparently, people have said, other players have spoken out about it, that it was a encouraging meeting. Like, it's not like it led to Joel Embiid shoving Tyrese Maxey like he shoved a reporter.
No. Like, not like a screaming matches and...
No. It was apparently a good, productive meeting.
A lot of discord, though.
Yes, and sometimes that's happens between family, right?
Absolutely.
And as we have pointed out, Tyrese Maxey, and as the report points out, Tyrese Maxey loves the big fella, and I believe the feeling is mutual. We've seen Joel Embiid at the podium talk glowingly of Tyrese Maxey, talk about how he's the best teammate that he's had since coming here.
Which is where you said, who's the perfect messenger for this?
Tyrese Maxey's the perfect messenger.
Perfect messenger.
A Kelly Oubre's not, and Eric Gordon is not.
No, and Eric
Paul
Gordon's here
George's not yet.
No, and Paul George isn't either right now.
Tyrese Maxey's the perfect messenger. So I'm glad that it came from Tyrese Maxey. And again, good for Tyrese Maxey. But it's led to us asking the question that we would love to hear from you. And we'll check the text line here, Connor, at 610-632-0975. Are you still on board with Joel Embiid? Or if you could move on from him, and again, we've made it clear they can't trade him because he just got the extension. So before you just say, yeah, trade him.
You can't right now.
If you could, though. Let's just say...
Off-season you can.
Off-season you can, or let's just say there are no rules, and you can move on from Joel Embiid. Would you? 610-632-0975. And don't say stuff like he's just a good player at best. No, you would be moving on from your best player. You would be moving on from one of the better players in the NBA over the past 5-6 years. But you would also be moving on from a lot of stress, sometimes nonsense. There'd be a lot of other things to move on from. I'm not doing it, but I don't blame anybody who's at that point.
Also, too, if you did move on, hearing your assessment there, if that's true, the way you paint him, then the Sixers would get a king's ransom for him, right?
Well, that never happens in the NBA.
No, there'd be at least 4, 5, 6 teams that would love to have him.
You would probably get a lot of big picks.
By the way, there's 11 or 12 teams that this offseason could take him, including 8 teams that were in last year's playoffs. Mm-hmm. So, I mean... So that you get a king's ransom. There'll be a bidding war for him, right?
Yeah, maybe, but you're saying king's ransom as if stars traded in the NBA have gotten big capital.
No, but I mean, you're going to get a lot of interest. Yeah. There's going to be like 4 different teams fighting for him.
I believe there would be a lot of interest.
I do not.
Okay.
I absolutely do not. I think there will be we would be floored at what they got for Joel Embiid.
You're floored.
Well, it's not the return. We're saying like the return in the NBA
because
is
I don't
always
think,
underwhelming.
Yeah, but the thing is, if there were 4 teams fighting for him, the return would not be underwhelming. If there's one, what usually happens in these situations is you got to find, like right now it says 11. I read one thing this morning, 11, another one 12, that could manage to sign him, could take on his contract in the offseason. I think that if 31-year-old LeBron James was available, same contract. You would have had franchises burning everything down, trading players, cutting salary to go get him.
Because he's one of the greatest players of all time.
Well, you're talking about Is Joel Embiid supposed to be at 31 years old like this city's LeBron?
No, nobody's LeBron.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Is he this city's LeBron? I'm not saying he's LeBron.
Yes,
I'm
he's the
saying
best player in the city.
He's supposed to be. Is he supposed to be the greatest Sixer who ever wore the jersey?
No.
No.
Oh, I sort of think
He's in
that's,
conversations.
No, but isn't that what he's supposed to be when this is all said and done?
Well, Wilt wore the jersey. Dr. J
Yeah, but I
wore
mean,
the jersey.
I said I didn't see Wilt play, and if I didn't see Wilt play, then the three of us
I got
can't.
a time machine.
The three of us can't.
No, but
like, I mean, he's supposed to be. He's. I can tell you right now, he's supposed to be greater than Dr. J. He's supposed to be greater than Allen Iverson. He's supposed to be the greatest player who ever wore the jersey.
Yeah, but you can't base value on return because age is a factor there where, like, teams are trying to win. Like, teams are trying to get – A.J. Brown's value stinks based on the return that the Titans got for him.
Right.
Like, we know the guy doesn't stink.
Yeah.
So it's just value on return is an unfair comparison.
All right, what do we have on the text line? And then I want to ask the question about likability. But what do we have on it?
All right, our first text here says, hate to admit this, but John is 100% right. I don't know why I said
Isn't
hate
that-
to
what do you
admit
have to say?
hate to admit this. No, Johnny.
Well, look, did you hear the first caller, too? I don't usually agree with you, Kincade, but today I did.
That's the with all
I
due
love that one.
respect, and then you say
Exactly.
something completely disrespectful.
But he says, Joel has never been about the team, has only been about himself. Most overrated player in the NBA.
I'm telling
Don't
you.
say he's the most overrated player in the NBA.
No, but I no, but what he did say, I agree completely. He's always been about himself. He has always been about himself.
Until last year, and you know what unfortunately happened? He got hurt again. Because remember, last year was the first year where he was like, all right, I don't need individual stuff and all that kind of nonsense.
Except,
And
like,
then-
I mean,
Then he got hurt again.
or like the biggest day for the NBA. What's the biggest day for the NBA TV ratings?
Well, TV ratings.
No,
I mean,
All right, Christmas.
the biggest day for NBA stars, they all want to play on Christmas.
Yeah.
Not Joel Embiid. He wasn't even willing to travel healthy with his teammates. Oh, no, I want to stay home because I want to do Christmas with my family. You're not a serious person. Not a serious person. That's you can arrange your life differently. You have to do things differently when you're making 40, 50 million a year, when you're the face of a franchise. Did any other stars take off Christmas Day last year?
I
Franchise
imagine
players?
There are more factors at hand than Joel Embiid just saying, I want to be home on Christmas as an NBA basketball. Like, I imagine there's more to that, and I imagine there are
What
also
was it?
other superstar players that have not played on Christmas Day.
I don't remember any superstar player not playing on
Because
Christmas
we're not
Day.
going to remember every single
No, but
one
I
of
can't
them.
remember any one. They love playing on Christmas Day.
I'm going to
The
guess
players-
Kawhi Leonard has not
The
played
players
on Christmas
talking.
Day times.
Kawhi Leonard is as big a kook.
I know, that's fine.
He's a kook.
Hey, you said no star players.
He's a kook.
Yeah,
He's a
that's-
star
that's
player.
somebody.
He definitely probably has not
Kawhi
played.
Leonard's played like 30 games, too. 25 games.
Does likability matter to you?
Yes.
I don't give a damn. And Connor, you and I have had this conversation
I don't
before.
care.
I don't care. But I find it interesting because yesterday, look, you guys know how I feel about Jalen Hurts. I think he's a top 10 quarterback, and I lower half of the top 10. I think he's a guy that can win.
Okay.
But as a person, man, that guy's number one. What we learned again yesterday on Good Morning America is that he's donating thousands of dollars to schools all across the
Hundreds
city.
of thousands.
Hundreds of
Honestly.
thousands. Thank you. Hundreds of thousands of dollars to schools here in Philadelphia, to provide air conditioning because you know what it's like during the summer with these schools that don't have air conditioning. And I think that's really freaking cool. But if we have a conversation about Jalen Hurts, it's still 50-50. No matter how well he plays, it's still 50-50.
Well, that's because they're talking about him as a quarterback.
Right. I wonder
A human being, if it's 50-50, people aren't paying attention.
Right, exactly. Jalen Hurts being the great person, though, is not going to impact my evaluation on him as a quarterback.
And it shouldn't.
Same with any player. But that's why I asked, does likability matter? And you say that it does.
I think it does to me as far as there have been a lot of unlikable players that have been great team, like spark plugs in this town. Ricky Batalico played with one of them. Lenny Dykstra is not likable. And I'm going to tell you this, there were other players in that 93 Phillies team that were completely unlikable.
Right.
And they were great on the field, and they played in other ways.
And they won, and that's all that mattered.
But the likability came along with being a professional about their job and doing the best at their job they can possibly do. That's what you don't get from Joel Embiid. You don't get that dedication to being the best he can be, to doing all the things that it requires to be a guy who makes $50 million a year. Other unlikable players can do that. Michael Jordan, I think I've read everything on Jordan that there is to be read.
Yeah.
He was extremely unlikable to many of his teammates.
Right.
But they all would have died to play with him. The people would have. Steve Kerr wrote in a piece once that people would have gotten into knife fights or something along those lines to get to be on Michael Jordan's teams, because there was a whole level of, you were the Beatles, you were rock stars,
right? Absolutely.
And so there's a difference. I don't believe Joel Embiid has that kind of likability.
I just wonder, because there is going to be a Joel Embiid game, I believe, in the near future, where he drops 30, and it's like, there he is. He's finally ramped up. John, are people done? Are people just done with Joel Embiid? I remember when he dropped 70 last year, and I took calls of just get to the playoffs, right? That's people were just poo-pooing a 70-point performance.
Oh, I remember. I still have the tweets.
So when I ask, is likability important to you, if people are out on Joel Embiid as the person also, no matter what kind of success he has from here on out, are people is their mind made up? I'm sure there are a lot of people whose mind is made up, not just because of injuries, but because of also actions like you're seeing right now.
I think so. I think there's people who are mind made up. I'm raising my hand. Anybody else, if you're driving right now, take one hand off the wheel.
Don't do that.
You're raising my hand. No, you're raising my come on, you drive with one hand.
I drive with my knees, but I'm not smart.
I just go, I raise my hand. I'm done. Do I want to see him do well? Would I love to see him deliver on all of this potential and all this promise? Sure. But I'm done. I'm done with unprofessionalism.
Are you still on board with Joel Embiid, or if you could move him, would you? 610-632-0975. Let's go to Andrew in Georgia. What's up, Drew?
Andrew, how you been, buddy?
My man, it is great freaking hearing from you.
Right back at you, buddy. Right back at you. Good morning, Johnny.
How you doing, buddy? Where are you driving right now?
I've just left my house in South Forsyth. I'm heading over to Marietta for a breakfast.
Go by Old Atlanta Club and say hello to my old neighborhood.
Yeah, I was talking with your boy Pope the other night.
There you go. Tell Brad I said hello.
I will. All right, so here's the deal. I am incredibly frustrated with Joel, right? I frankly don't know what the hell's going on. There's some kind of disconnect, and it is something with the city that popped up. You heard the hint of it, right? When he talked about
all I've done for this city.
Right, and then he said that all I've done, we can't question him. Well, listen, man, if you want the accolades, right, then you got to take the criticism as well, right? You can't just say, only give me praise. I mean, that's just not reality, and it sure as hell's not going to happen in Philadelphia, right? Then get to another market. But I can't say move on, right? I mean, the bottom line, if the guy's head is on even half right, he's a top 5 player in the world.
Right.
In the world, right? And those guys just don't come around. I think it's fascinating that it got leaked about the meeting.
Yeah,
right?
That's the other big part of this conversation. And that goes back to the organization or the culture or the locker room. And look, that is part of the problem when you sign a bunch of guys to one-year deals that don't have connections. And I'm not saying it was one of the one-year deal guys who leaked it out there, but that's a possibility. And you don't have a culture with this team, and you haven't had one.
No, you have not. You have not. I was beyond excited about Nick Nurse. I think the guy's a damn genius, right? You can see he's frustrated. You know what I mean?
But it seems like the team is also frustrated with him and his staff, and that's a bit of a problem. They're obviously frustrated, Andrew.
Thanks for the call, man.
They're frustrated with him and the coaching staff. They're saying, I think the players and the quotes that came out, you need to coach us harder. That's all about Embiid.
Yes.
That's all about Embiid.
Yeah.
You guys need to stand up and take charge of this room. You're the coaches. You're the bosses. And then the coaches coming back with, well, you guys need to start taking practice seriously.
Yeah.
That tells me this like that's where I can't get on board with somebody who goes, yeah, this team can get this fixed.
Right.
If you have professional athletes that don't handle themselves professionally.
Now, let me ask you this, and Mikey Miss has been about
great
this
on
for a
story.
while.
Very vocal.
So the practice, you guys need to start taking practice more seriously. If it's coming from the organization that we just want Joel to be healthy come playoff time, so Joel is not going to necessarily practice all that hard if that's the message coming from upstairs. And then if you're another player and the best player on the team, the lead by example guy, is not practicing hard, are you too going to not practice hard?
Okay, it was assured to me, very well-placed source,
Okay.
that you can say that about the franchise in no way said to him, October and November and everything don't matter.
Okay.
You could, they weren't happy that we're talking about him not being ready for the regular season.
Okay. It's good to know.
So they're not happy about that. And by the way, teammates aren't happy about it either. Obviously.
Clearly, yeah. Tyrese Maxey calling
It screws
him out.
up it screws up everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are spot on with, I think, the dynamic of you need to practice harder and then looking at your leader and he's late for everything and not putting in full effort. Now, I don't think the coaching, like you need to coach us harder, I don't think that's directed at Embiid. Now, it is in some extent because he's part of the team.
What do you think? Give me the theory of what
Look
you
how
think.
bad this team is with two all-star caliber guys available at points and Paul George and Tyrese Maxey. Like, they should have more than 2 wins. If Joel Embiid didn't exist,
no questions asked,
they should have more than 2 wins. I think that is deeper than that. It's like we need to be pushed harder. It could be, and I don't know if I would blame him for this, but Nick Nurse looking at it and saying, well, man, I got to kind of wait till Joe's back to institute or get these 3 guys together to run the offense I want to run.
Can I say something that might be extremely unfair?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a microphone and I get paid to do this.
You're not paid to be unfair. Go for it.
Maybe training camp shouldn't be at a destination.
Or
no.
It's I love you.
I'm serious.
I love you, Andrew Salciunas. Thanks for saying it.
Andy
It's
Reid.
a great
Reid,
point.
the greatest coach. One
That's
of the greatest.
football.
It's a great point.
But they go
Club
to. He finds D3 colleges that you know well. They live in these like cell block rooms.
Yeah, those are tough spots.
I know.
And by the way, they are the champs.
Yeah.
They are the champions. And Andy Reid runs a boot camp that is like something out of 2005.
Yeah.
Not 2000. Andy Reid says, no, this is how we do things here.
Apples to oranges. They're bringing nearly 100 guys that they got to cut down to figure out what that roster is at 50-some.
I know.
Football
It makes it easier to go someplace.
Let me step outside of sports. You used to work in mortgages.
Okay.
Did you ever like have a good destination thing?
Yeah.
All right. When you were at that destination thing, were you thinking of work?
No.
Or were you thinking about what am I doing after work?
I'm thinking about what I'm doing after. But it was legitimately like a trip.
Exactly.
Like, listen, this is an issue.
I told you it's probably unfair. I told you it's probably unfair.
Give me a second. Back up from the microphone. This is an issue that I will not allow you guys to bring up because we have so many damn problems with this team. The main star ain't healthy. The second star ain't healthy. The third star is now on the bench. Everybody's mad at everybody. The coaches have figured stuff out. They're not winning. I don't give a damn if they had training camp on the moon. We have too many problems that actually matter to focus on where they went to training camp.
Did every NBA franchise, how many of them went to destinations?
I don't know. I'll do the damn research.
Okay. No, but I'm saying to you is that, again, I am a believer in something, and you've scoffed at it before. I am a believer in best practices. I think it works in mortgages. I think it works in banking. I think it works. You look at the best organizations and you say, how do they do things? Well, how can we do things more like them?
Yeah.
Not less like them.
I got you, but
More like them.
the house is on fire and you guys are pissing on a garden gnome. Let's focus.
I'm just trying to do my
Fix
part
the
to help.
roof.
All right. So coming up next, obviously your texts, your calls, they're still on the table.
The garden gnome thing is now I'm just lost.
But we got a couple of Eagles things that we want to get into. Sunday's matchup is a major test for a specific area on defense. I got my answer about the linebackers last Thursday against the Commanders. John believes he's going to get his answer on the corners. We talk about that next. Also, speaking of the young corners, Johnny, Vic Fangio spoke about the rookie wall. I loved his answer. You will too. It is Kincade Salciunas on this Wednesday morning. Adam Schefter joins us at 8 o'clock, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A message for Embiid. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by AAA Car Care. Save $40 on any repair of $150 or more at AAA Car Care Centers. Offer valid through November 30th. Details at AAA.com/mycar. The Sixers have had a nightmare start to the season. They currently sit at 2-11, good for the 15th spot in the Eastern Conference. The Sixers, well, because of that, had a team meeting Monday night following their loss to the Miami Heat. Per reports, Tyrese Maxey called out Joel Embiid for lateness at team events. There are also other discussions amongst the players and coaches. We will find out tonight if that conversation starts to pay off, as they're set to take on the Memphis Grizzlies down there in Memphis, Tennessee. 8 p.m. the time for tip-off. You can hear that game live right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. The Eagles are turning their attention to the Los Angeles Rams, a cross-country trip for Sunday Night Football in L.A. coming up this weekend. And some of the concern with the performance of the young players on the defensive side of the ball is sustainability over a full season. We've all heard about the rookie wall. Well, Vic Fangio talked about it yesterday.
Back in the day, you used to hear rookies hitting the rookie wall. I don't think that rookie wall exists anymore because you'd have two-a-days in training camp. Well, that don't happen anymore. So I don't buy the rookie wall.
We'll see if that thought process by Fangio holds true as the Eagles take on the Rams. The Flyers will take on the Hurricanes at 7:30 tonight at the Wells Fargo Center. You can hear that game on WMMR. Adam Schefter joins us coming up at 8 a.m. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
When it started out this year, we're going...
It is 7:32 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Our man Adam Schefter is going to be joining us coming up at 8 o'clock. Again, if you haven't heard, we have a pair of tickets to give away for a huge concert, a big-ass concert, I would say. The Big-Ass Stadium Tour with Post Malone and Jelly Roll.
I think it's a funny name.
They're coming to Citizens Bank Park next year on May the 24th. And we will be giving away a pair of tickets. We'll play Know the Schefter, listen to our Adam Schefter interview closely, and around 8:30, I'll ask the question, and one lucky winner will win the tickets. Tickets go on sale next Tuesday.
That is Memorial Day weekend, by the way.
It's great time.
Perfect timing.
So it's even perfect, so great time.
Yeah, B-Gun saw the read and thought we were giving away donuts when he saw Jelly Roll.
By the way, have you guys ever seen a concert at Citizens Bank Park?
Yeah, dude, I saw
it's awesome.
Paul McCartney there.
Oh, that's cool.
I have not.
I saw the Eagles there. It's a great...
They play at the Link, dude.
Thank you. It's a great concert.
What about the
venue.
acoustics?
It's great.
It really is, actually.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. The only thing I don't like about it is the field always looks like crap afterward. But, remember when there was a sinkhole from the Bruce concert?
Yeah.
Like, that stuff, you got to be careful if you're going to be doing that. But it is a great place to hear the concert.
So it is, okay.
Yeah.
I've always wondered about the acoustics.
Yeah, no, it sounded great. All right, so before we get back to our Joel Embiid gloom and doom conversation and the texts and the calls, the Eagles do play on Sunday. It's Wednesday.
They do.
We're at the midway point. We get the injury report today, which will be interesting to see with guys like Milton Williams because he left the game banged up last week. But
yeah, I'm really anxious to hear about that.
Last Thursday, I said to you that I think I will find the true identity of the linebackers. Because I thought that last Thursday was going to be the biggest test for Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond. Because the Commanders, much like the Eagles, are a run-heavy offense, but they're also a quick passing offense. And then there's the added bonus of Jaden Daniels and how he could escape the pocket at any time. So the job that Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean had to do was not just tackle the running back. It was make sure Jaden Daniels doesn't escape the pocket, break, contain, and get a bunch of yards on the ground. These quick passing schemes, screen passes. And, man, did they pass with flying colors in that game against the Commanders. You believe there's another big test this weekend for a different position group.
And if the test is passed, I think it is my thoughts that this team can actually have a parade will go higher and higher.
I love that.
This is the test for the Eagles' young secondary. And we've seen them be incredible so far. And I'm not going to hold them to a standard of saying, man, they have to keep two of the better young receivers in the game down. I'm saying if this secondary can hold the Rams passing game in check, reasonable, and I don't care about yardage, by the way. I don't give a flip about yardage.
Yep.
I'm talking about can they keep them in check when you get in the red zone?
But don't break, baby.
Right. I am a believer that I'll come in Monday and say that their chances to win a Super Bowl go up 30%. Right now to where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're going up against Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. By the way, Cooper DeJean, the Cooper v. Cooper battle is going to be huge because he's primarily in the slot.
Correct.
Almost every single snap. So that's going to be the Cooper DeJean job. He's got a very difficult task. And Cooper Kupp is not just one of the better catchers in the NFL as a wide receiver. He is considered, if not the best, one of the best route runners. So it's a big test for Cooper DeJean on Sunday.
Huge opportunity.
Yes.
And the one thing about the Sean McVay offense is that he is right now, I believe, second in the NFL, this offense, in scheming his wide receivers open to giving them that space. So it's up to the Eagles and Vic Fangio to find a way to take that away from them.
There's a lot of pre-snap motion. There's a lot of routes where they're running as the snap is made.
If this Rams team, if the Eagles roll out of L.A., let's say giving up 17. I even say giving up 20.
Yeah, I'd say 20.
I am going to just be, you know what? This team's arrived earlier than even expected. And I will feel much more that we could be talking about a parade down Broad Street.
Their point totals over the last couple of weeks, 28 this past weekend against the Patriots, just 15 against the Dolphins, but 26, 30, 20, 19, 18, 27.
So there have been games like that.
Yeah.
The Dolphins, by the way, though, very tough D. The Dolphins have a tough defense. the Eagles should aspire to getting there. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I'm expecting that this is going to be an Eagles victory, but I'm really anxious to see how the defense holds up.
What does your heart tell you? Because I said
right now,
true test for linebackers last week, and I believe they would pass.
Oh, I believe they're going to pass this
yeah,
test.
I'm with you too.
But I also believe that there will be. I do not believe it is going to be shut down city.
Yeah, it's hard.
Because
those two receivers.
Because that's such an overused term, like shut down corner.
Right.
I don't need a shut down corner. I need a corner that helps keep the other team to scoring 20 points or less.
Yeah.
That's
and
all
your
I need.
offense should
With
be
this
able to
offense,
score more.
yeah, I'm fine with that.
I don't know. I think you have a shutdown corner.
Yeah,
I think
you
you might be like even giving up a little bit more than you should, Johnny. And you have high confidence in the guy, but like think about the guys that they've locked down: Jamar Chase,
I know,
CeeDee Lamb,
Malik
like
Neighbors.
Like there,
I know.
And I know Cooper Kupp had that one miraculous year in the Super Bowl, and I like Puka Nacua as a young player as long as he stops punching people. But like, listen. I'll take Jamar over all of them. I'll take CD over all of them. I'll definitely take Malik Neighbors
CD,
over.
though, they didn't have anybody throwing on the ball.
Yeah, I got
Matthew
you.
Stafford went into top 10 passer last Sunday.
Yeah, there's going to be tight windows that he can actually
Matthew Stafford can deliver the ball where those other guys can't exploit it.
Totally fair. I look at what they've done against top-level receivers this year, and I should say it's almost expected that they have a great game on
By the
Sunday.
way, we didn't even bring up the congratulate the Eagles now in 6th in points allowed.
Ooh, nice.
So
and
now
defensive rating, they're number 1.
They're number 1 if you take.
I know
points.
I know points matter.
Points matters to me.
Yeah, I agree
That's
with
the
you.
number that matters to me. They are 6th. Nobody.
That's amazing.
Like I was targeting 12.
Yeah, we wanted middle of the pack.
They're not
top 10
middle of the
right now.
pack. They are.
It's amazing.
They are right behind the Detroit Lions.
And I don't see that slowing down unless they hit the little thing called the rookie wall. So, John, this time yesterday, I tried making you feel better about the rookie wall because Nick Sirianni spoke about it during his Monday press conference. And obviously, we're morning, so we react to things the next day. Yesterday, Vic Fangio had his press conference, and he too was asked about the rookie wall. And he put it this way just so eloquently.
You know, back in the day, you used to hear rookies hitting the rookie wall. I don't think that rookie wall exists anymore because back in the day, you'd have 2-a-days in training camp. And when you got a rookie that you thought would play, you'd practice him a lot. He'd play a lot in preseason games when there was 4. Well, that don't happen anymore. So I don't buy the rookie wall anymore. It's not physical. It might be mental or emotional, but it's not physical anymore, in my opinion.
Does that make you feel better?
Yeah, it does.
From Vic?
Well, first off, I
love you, Vic.
I'm a huge Fangio fan. I'm a Fangio. So I love hearing that. I think Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter both hit a wall.
Yeah.
I think Jalen Carter hit a wall last year. I think Jordan Davis has hit a wall twice physically. Jordan Davis is a completely different human being body shape this year. He has actually gotten devoted to everything that he needs to do to look the part that he's going to be able to hold up. I'm not expecting the Jordan Davis disappearing act in
And I think Vic also
December.
does a great job rotating him in and out so that he's not going to be gassed.
But Jalen Carter, I love I don't know if we're playing the 90% or 100%.
Oh, I don't have it on there,
he goes, like, what's the difference between 90% and 100%? I agree with that.
I kind of get it.
I agree with that if you're going to play a guy, if it's going to be 3 more snaps, 4 more snaps, 5 more. I don't think that's going to make a difference 10 days later.
Right. No, I don't think so.
And I think
either.
last Thursday's game did affect, and that was a great point you made, that I think last Thursday being a game and having the extra week, I think that absolutely
might be why,
played into it too.
Having 10 days rest before it. Let's go to Sean in Limerick. He wants to touch on the Sixers conversation. What's up, Sean?
What's up, Sean?
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good to hear from you, man.
Good. So I want to touch on this Embiid thing and tell you why I'm out. I got 3 quick points I want to go over why. I understand everything that we've laid out this morning. The talent is there. It's undeniable. But here are my 3 reasons. Well, first one, this has been enabled since the day he was drafted from the team itself. So Joe Embiid doesn't start this behavior unless it's enabled. It's been enabled. It's going to be hard to pull this back at this point for how long this has probably been going on. That wasn't documented. 2, he's been immature, unprofessional the entire time he's been here. And I'll give you a quick thing here. Everybody points to that Toronto series when we had Jimmy Butler and Game 7. People forget Embiid missed a game in the middle of that series.
I don't trust me. I don't forget.
For the poops.
Gastroenteritis, baby.
Yeah, because he ate incorrectly. Like, that's unacceptable. And people always talk about Game 7. We don't even get to Game 7 if he manages that correctly, possibly. And then the third one here is, and the thing people forget about this, and I talked about it the last couple of years, we've gotten the best basketball out of Joel Embiid. Name one center in the NBA that's aged gracefully. He's 31, going on 32 with his injury history. He's only going to get heavier. His movement's going to get worse. We've gotten the best basketball out of Joel Embiid, and this problem is only going to be exacerbated. It's only going to be worse in the future, and I'm not trying to be down, but name a center that is age gracefully.
Now, I have one retort to that, and Sean, thanks for the call. We're up against it, and I'll respond to it on the other side. I totally get where he's coming from, but I do have one retort to the whole Joel Embiid, we've seen his best basketball. I'll explain myself coming up next. Also, Adam Schefter at 8 o'clock from ESPN. How about Kendrick Perkins from ESPN? He had his opinion on Joel Embiid and the drama that's going on with the Sixers. You'll hear from a national point of view because it's been a lot of local today, deservedly so, because the drama continues. And I want to read you a tweet from Tim
Self-inflicted
Bontemps
drama
that just paints the picture perfectly. It's Kincade and Salciunas on a Wednesday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Bill Colarulo.
This defense, when you can play.
7:48 on Kincade Salciunas 97.5. The Fanatic. Want to let you know about the deal of the week. Johnny talking about maybe some snow in the forecast.
Snow showers.
Hey, snow.
You know what
snow.
I mean? Yeah.
Get 2 single-day adult tickets to Yuletide Liberty Hill for the price of one. Located in where, John? Lafayette or
Lafayette Hill.
What did I?
You don't know how to say Lafayette Hill?
Lafayette Hill.
No, apparently I said it weird. Yes.
You said Lafayette.
I don't believe I said Lafayette. I
You
think I
did.
said Lafayette or something.
Or you may have said something, but you didn't say Lafayette.
All right, Lafayette Hill.
It's a great place.
Yuletide Liberty Hill is the region's ultimate Christmas village featuring rides, boutique shopping, ice skating, live music, craft drinks, and more, and so much more. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 97.5thefanatic.com/deals. We hear from you momentarily, but I saw a tweet from Tim Bontemps of ESPN.
I like Tim.
He quote tweeted Shams' reporting, and he said, for a Sixers franchise that specializes in drama, this season is quickly approaching new heights less than a month in.
New heights? Are they trying to capitalize on the
Jason Kelce
Kelceys?
pod, yeah. But pretty spot on. It is a team that's just been filled with drama. Our caller in the last segment, first, the thing that he said first, I believe is very true, that a lot of it was enabled by the organization. The actions. How long
are we going to go with that? Like, how long are we going to go with that? Is it because you're 31 years old? You're almost 31 years old. You're a grown man.
Yeah.
You're making the max contract. You are filthy rich. You're supposed to be the face of a franchise. At what point do you go, I need to be like other great players? I need to have their work ethic, their attitude, their leadership. We got to stop blaming other people for a grown man not wanting to do what is required as part of the job.
I got you.
We got to stop blaming the organization. If you're an unprofessional guy at this point in your career, you should have learned.
Well, is it just him? Is there not another star player that was paired with him that had the major issues as far as being available?
Mr. Simmons is still barely playing basketball.
Like, if it happens to two guys that are...
Okay, that's 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, but you got to understand, John, this was like the whole process.
No, I understand.
thing. And this was like...
I understand. That's why it was a completely ridiculous premise to begin with.
I don't think it was a ridiculous premise if they came out actually being ready to play basketball. Those guys walked around as if they would walk on water. The people inside the building treated them that way. One thing for fans, people inside the building treated them that way. But our caller talked about Joel Embiid, his best basketball is behind him. The only reason why I say I don't know if that's true is because he has gotten better when healthy every single year. Last year was once again his best year before he got hurt. The year before that was his best year. The year before that was his best year. I don't think we've seen the peak yet. Maybe we did. We'll find out as this year plays out and the next year and the year after that. He's right about centers aging poorly.
Yeah.
They don't age like wine.
And the bigger you are, the more poorly you age.
But we haven't seen the drop-off in terms of play yet from Embiid. So I don't know if that's the case. We'll see as this season plays out. Here's Kendrick Perkins yesterday on ESPN giving his thoughts on the situation in Philadelphia.
Well, number one, it's a team meeting and not a worldly meeting, so the information shouldn't have got leaked out. So there's no trust in this process, right? Number two, good for Tyrese Maxey for calling out Joel Embiid, right? I played with 15-plus Hall of Famers, and look, none of them was perfect, but all of them was true professionals, right? And all of them were leaders in their own right, meaning showing up on time, respecting the coach. That's the most important thing, because when you're late to practices or whatever it may be, it's disrespectful to the coach, and it tends to send a message throughout the locker room that others could be disrespectful. So shout out to Tyrese Maxey for calling them out, because in order for the Sixers to go where they're trying to go, Joel Embiid has to be held accountable all across the board.
And
Big Perk, man.
If you're waiting for that to happen, though, with a 31-year-old man, don't want to ruin it for you. I don't want to be. I've already told you this before. Spoiler alert. I know the ending of the movie. I'm not going to tell you because you haven't binged it yet. I know the ending.
You told us a couple times, though.
Because I know when a guy at that age is not professional and doesn't conduct himself like a professional, I know what he is. I already know what he is.
Maybe this was the moment for him, Johnny.
Yes, yeah.
Maybe this Tyrese Maxey thing
maybe
was
this
the moment.
This is it.
What do we have?
This is going to be the
What
time.
do we have on the text line, Connor?
All right, so we have something we need to clear up about the Christmas Day Miami thing, and Kaleem reaches out to us to check in. So Joel Embiid in the Miami game where he didn't travel down to Miami, didn't play on Christmas Day. Embiid was out for an ankle injury on Christmas, Kaleem says. And in that same game, Jimmy Butler didn't play for the Heat. We've got to be fair to the guy in that instance.
Jimmy Butler that was a surprise to the Sixers. I read it this morning. Again, from the reporting lead up to it, they were surprised that he wasn't going to Miami.
Yeah, but
so there's not.
It's a listed ankle injury. You said earlier he stayed home with his family on Christmas.
No, because they wouldn't be allowed to list that, Connor.
Yeah, but he was.
They did not know. They did not know that it was.
Hold on, he was out 3 games after that too.
Right. They kept him out. They kept him out. He did not want to travel.
He had an ankle injury.
I know, but he was also out against Orlando, Houston, and Chicago. He won't be. He's not the first player to not travel with an injury, especially Joel Embiid. And
so, we have to be fair. If we're going to be critical, we have to be fair.
They were surprised that he didn't travel. I read it again this morning that they were surprised that he wasn't traveling because I guess he said, "Well, if I'm not playing, well, then I don't want to travel."
Okay, but
because I want to spend Christmas at home.
Okay, but choosing not to travel because you can't play is different than choosing to stay home with your family and not playing with the team.
It's not like he didn't play the next game.
That's choosing to stay home with your family and
he
not
couldn't
being
play.
with you. I understand, but injured players travel all the time. What are you talking about?
All right,
they travel all the time. They get on the plane. They travel all the time.
This is the stuff we can't kill him for. Because he misses bigger things. There are bigger problems.
There are bigger problems.
Than him wanting to spend Christmas with his family when he cannot play. That's not a fair thing to be mad at him about. It's just not.
You can think that.
I do. And most people,
fine.
I think, should. And it's crazy to think otherwise, in my opinion.
I don't think you should think like I feel. So that's where we're different.
But I will say this. His first game back after that injury where he missed 4 games, including the not traveling, 31, 15, and 10. 31 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists. I don't think anybody was complaining.
I've seen it before. Yes.
I don't think anyone was complaining when he came back.
That's great.
All right, coming up next, Adam Schefter. And again, listen closely to Shefty. Know the Schefter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Post Malone and Jelly Roll at the Big Ass Stadium Tour. It's Kincade and Salciunas.
You just love saying it.
Damn right, man. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Sixers looking for a spark. I'm Connor Thomas, and this update is brought to you by Popeyes. It's football season in Philly, so you got to have some grub. Popeyes is just the drawn for any fan of the birds. We're talking wings, baby, so fly to Popeyes Fly and fill up on wings in 7 delicious flavors. The Sixers, well, they certainly could use a spark after losing to the Miami Heat on Monday, and man, they had a team meeting after that, accordingly to sources, said Tyrese Maxey called out Joel Embiid for lateness to team events, and there were also other discussions amongst the players and coaches. They got to find something. And 2-11, they sit at 15th in the Eastern Conference in the standings. We'll see if that conversation after the game in Miami starts to pay off as they take on the Grizzlies. Tonight down in Memphis, 8 p.m., you can hear that game live on 97.5 The Fanatic right here. The Flyers will take on the Hurricanes at 7:30. Also tonight, they're at the Wells Fargo Center. You can hear that game on our sister station, WMMR. And the Eagles, well, they're waiting until Sunday night when they'll take on the Los Angeles Rams, heading across the country out there to L.A. Some of the concern with the performance of the young players is not so much their production, but their sustainability. Vic Fangio talked yesterday about the rookie wall.
Back in the day, you used to hear rookies hitting the rookie wall. I don't think that rookie wall exists anymore because you'd have 2-a-days in training camp. Well, that don't happen anymore. So I don't buy the rookie wall.
We'll see if Vic Fangio not buying it proves true over the course of the remainder of the season. Adam Schefter joins us coming up next. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Matvey Michkov.
Back into the corner to Michkov, side of the net.
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic on a Wednesday morning, which means Adam Schefter. He joins us on the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business get you ready for what's next. He's brought to us by Landis Block. Create your very own jaw-dropping backyard paradise online at landisbc.com. And again, listen closely to every word that Adam Schefter has to say, because we will play Know the Show, Know the Schefter, coming up around 8:30 for your chance to win the pair of tickets to see Post Malone and Jelly Roll next summer, or Memorial Day weekend at Citizens Bank Park. Shefty, good morning. How are we today?
Good morning. How are we doing?
We are
very well,
doing great when it comes to Eagles land, and that's what we're talking to you about today, Shefty. It's nice to not have drama surrounding the Philadelphia Eagles right now. It's nice not having to talk about Nick Sirianni and in-game decisions. But one of the things that's been talked about here locally and now nationally a little bit has been Saquon Barkley and him not getting the touchdowns because of the tush push. You are more connected than a lot of people. So I'll ask you, is there anything there when it comes to Saquon Barkley?
I mean, I have him on my fantasy team. I'm not happy with it.
Of course.
Selfish bastard.
That may be the biggest thing, and I'm going to have to talk to Nick about that and say, I don't like this. I want some touchdowns on the 1 yard line. The fact of the matter is, I think he's been tackled at the 1 yard line 7 times. Am I correct?
Yes.
Right. So, listen, Saquon has been unbelievable this year. He's been great. But there have been 7 instances where all he needed was 1 more yard, and we wouldn't even be having this conversation. So, fall into the end zone. Don't step out. Whatever it is. He knows how to play the position. I don't have to tell him what to do, but I certainly would appreciate if he did capitalize on some of those opportunities, and rather than the tush push, they give him some of those chances to cash in on the touchdowns that he helped earn.
The opinion on the Eagles around the league when you talk to people that aren't connected like us, that aren't locals. Did the Washington win maybe change some people's thought processes about how real this team is, or do you think it just reinforced what people thought?
Well, I think people expected Philly to win that game, and I think now that they've ripped off all these wins in a row, what's their record right now? 7-2?
8-2.
8-2.
8-2.
8-2.
Number 2 seed by 2.5 games over the Falcons. Over the Cardinals.
Listen, they're rolling along, and so to me, they're taking care of their business, and their job is just keep stacking these wins and putting themselves in position. I can't see how Detroit isn't going to be the number 1 seed. I just can't see that, but we'll see how that plays out. That's going to be the challenge. Finding a way, if it goes the way we think, midway or 10 games into the season, to win in Detroit. They're capable of doing it. And by the way, we're just assuming that Detroit holds up as the 1 and Philly holds up as the 2. And things always change, so you just don't know. But it's hard to imagine today that Detroit wouldn't be the 1 and Philly wouldn't be the 2. Although maybe, Detroit loses some guys down the stretch, or Philly loses some guys down the stretch. But if both teams stay healthy, I think you're looking at Detroit 1, Philly 2. Although, let me see Detroit's schedule here. I'm sitting here.
They have the Packers. They have the Packers at home. They have the Bills at home. They go to the 49ers. They host the Vikings. They have a much harder schedule than the Eagles do if you take all the games intact.
But by the way, John, there's not a game there that you mentioned I don't believe that they're going to be an underdog for.
No, I don't think they're an underdog the rest of the way. And the Eagles are going to be an underdog at the Ravens, I would figure. And they won't be an underdog the rest of the way other than that. And the Ravens game might be really close.
Yeah, Shefty, do you think the Lions are in a tier of their own? Obviously, any given Sunday, any team can beat anybody. But if I were to say Lions, Eagles, are they on the same platform in your opinion, or do you think the Lions still have that leg up? Take the win-loss record aside because they're 1 game back.
I think the Lions are the best team in football. I do. I thought that. Now, again, 1 game, Philly is one of the best teams in football. But Detroit just looks like it's their year to me. which doesn't clinch anything. Doesn't mean anything. I'm just telling you, when I watch them, I say, boy, this team is good. I just feel like I say that about them every week I watch them. I'm like, man, they're tough. Like, somebody could beat them, but it's going to take a hell of a game. A hell of a game.
Do me a favor. Tell me about if it's NFC title game, and we're talking about Goff and Hurts on that stage.
Yeah.
Are we making too much of the quarterbacks and not looking at the surrounding casts? Or do you believe Jalen Hurts maybe and is right there with Jared Goff is able to lead a team to a Super Bowl? We've already seen it once. For both men have done it.
Yeah, right. Both teams have done it, and both men have done it, and both men came up just short. So, they definitely could do it and get it done. And I don't know if it's about the quarterbacks. And I don't know if it's all about the quarterbacks. To me, those are probably the two best teams because they're the two best teams, and I emphasize the word teams. Full talent, right? And Detroit's got a stacked roster. Philly's got a deep, strong roster. Like they're two really good teams. And again, it's a playoff game. Like, of course the Eagles could beat them. I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying today when I watch these teams, Detroit is the best team in football to me. That's all. Whatever that's worth on November 20th.
We're speaking to Adam Schefter on the Comcast Business Hotline. Shefty, before the season started, and sometimes we play read between the Shefty. We play read between the lines. You talked about how Jalen Hurts, it was very important for him to have a bounce-back season this year, to play more like 2022 Jalen Hurts than what we saw last year. Do you believe that we're seeing that? Do you believe that the Eagles are in a better place with this version of Jalen Hurts based off of the things that you were kind of referencing to before the season started?
Well, they're winning. They're 8-2. Like, when you're 8-2, everything's great. So that's all that matters. And so they're answering the questions. And by the way, the questions aren't all answered on November 20th. To date, they've answered them just the way they should have. And now they get answered over the stretch run. And now we'll see how they respond in the postseason, because they're tracking to win the division and host a playoff game and make some noise there.
Maybe two. As the 2 seed, you get to host twice. So,
yeah, exactly. So, let's see how it works out. They'll be judged over the course of the season, but they're in a great spot today.
When you look at the job that this Eagles team has done, the young defense under Vic Fangio, who we know you're a Fangio like I am, this challenge against the Rams is a little bit different because the tandem of wide receivers is going to be especially taxing. How excited are you to watch this matchup, and how much of a challenge do you think this is going to be for the Eagles' young secondary?
So those guys are good. I mean, they're really good. And what's interesting is since Puka came back and Cooper came back, it's diminished the production of Kyron Williams, also on First Sources, by the way. Also on First Sources. My two running backs are Kyron Williams and Saquon Barkley. But the wide receivers, man, they're good. Like, they're really productive. They make big plays. They're each capable of beating you. They're really good. It's tough. Where's that game? Is it in L.A.?
It's in L.A., yes, Sunday night.
Oh, this Sunday night, Eagles-Rams? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I look forward to watching that coming home from Bristol.
Shefty, how important, we know that talent is very important for a football team in order to win. Shocker. How important is having a functional organization? Because I look inside the NFC East, obviously the Eagles and Commanders are doing pretty well, but there's dysfunction in Dallas and New York. How important is having a functional organization where there's not just drama all the time in order to have success in this league?
Well, winning gets rid of that. Like, when Dallas was winning last year, you didn't hear that they were dysfunctional. You didn't hear that wasn't the focus. But because they're not winning this year, because the quarterback's hurt, because everything's gone south, now they're dysfunctional. You're not winning. That's what happens. Washington, all these years, never winning. Always dysfunctional. Get a new coach, get a new quarterback, get a new GM, get a new owner. Oh, funny. They're winning, and they're not dysfunctional. Wow. Shocking how that goes together. Winning and functionality. Losing and dysfunctional. Like, it's so predictable. Just like in a winning locker room, you don't hear the complaints. Everything's good. You just don't hear it. When a team loses, this coach can't do this, or you get people talking behind people's. It's so simple, but it's so true. You win, everything's great. You lose, in this world that we live in, with a scrutiny on everything, everybody comes under the microscope. You win, you're functional. You lose, you're not. Like,
well, last year though, wait a minute. Last year though, the Eagles were 10-1. They were actually better. They were 10-1, and it was reported, locally that they were the most miserable 10-1 team that guys on our beat had ever witnessed and ever seen. So sometimes winning doesn't cure everything, right?
No, but I'm going to say, and it's hard to actually quantify this.
Okay.
But if we go back to when the Eagles were 10-1 last year, you're telling me there were negative stories floating around?
Yes, there was a Jeff McClain, top beat writer in the country by his peers, flat out reported that it was the most miserable 10-1 team. Mm-hmm. And then after the year, it was verified by Eagles players that they were a miserable bunch and they weren't, like, it wasn't getting along.
Well, again, I applaud Jeff for reporting that when they were 10-1. That's really impressive. I'm not surprised to hear when the second half of the season goes the way that it did, that people were miserable. Like, that's going to be obvious at the end. It wasn't obvious when he reported it, but when you're losing at the second half they did, of course, everybody's going to be miserable.
All right, now, last thing, outside of Philadelphia, the New York Jets, a team that a lot of people picked to make a run to the Super Bowl this year.
Speaking of functionality.
Yeah, exactly. What happens next? Joe Douglas, first of all, I have eyes on him. If he would like to make a return to Philadelphia to work with Howie Roseman, I would welcome him back with open arms. But what happens next in New York with Rodgers and everything that's going on with the Jets?
Well, they need a new GM. They need a new head coach. And so basically they're overhauling the organization. That's what's going on there. So I don't know if they're going to bring on a search firm. I always wonder about that. These owners spend money on those kinds of things, and no disrespect, there are very smart people that are involved, but you can make a few calls and get the same information, very similar information. And so, I think that I wouldn't be shocked if they go and hire a search firm, and then they have to decide what direction they want to take the organization, how they want to do this. There's going to be some big decisions, and they haven't gotten many of them right. So if they want to turn it around, they're going to have to do that, and it's not going to be easy.
Schefter, you're the man. We appreciate the time as always. We always like talking to you, and can't wait to talk to you again next week.
Some good football ahead this week, and I appreciate you alerting me to the fact that Sunday night is Eagles-Rams. I lost sight of that with all the commotion and all the noise in New York over the football decisions that were made here.
Yeah, I'm sure that's been that's kept you busy recently with both teams from New York. Thanks, Schefter. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
There is Adam Schefter on the Comcast Business Hotline, brought to us by Landis Block. Create your very own jaw-dropping backyard paradise online at LandisBC.com. Yeah, the Giants and Jets alone made his paycheck worth it.
Oh, yes.
Between everything that's going on with the Jets, they fired Joe Douglas. Did you bring him back? Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, why not? As an advisor or an assistant to Howie Roseman?
People keep saying, remember, every week I keep hearing how Doug Peterson's getting fired.
Yeah, seriously.
I keep saying, I don't think Doug Peterson's getting fired till the end of the year, but I think he's getting fired.
Yeah, he's going to get fired. There's no way they're going to keep him.
People are like, should they bring Doug Peterson back as an advisor?
No.
He's the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's not fired.
Yeah, he's not fired.
And at this point, I don't think they're firing him.
Yeah, at this point. But I would bring back Joe Douglas with open arms. All right. It is time now, usually at 8:05, but because of our Wednesdays with Schefty, we do it now. Headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
What do we got? Is it Joel Embiid related?
It is not.
Okay.
We're staying away from JoJo for a segment. But we have a situation in the Northeast, and people, lock your doors, keep an eye on your backyards. We have a serial pooper.
Oh, I heard about this.
Yeah, we got a poop bandit in the Northeast, folks. So apparently, this guy's been going around, and multiple neighbors in the Northeast are looking for this dude who's been going into people's backyards. He has like children's clothes that he's been using to wipe.
Oh, that's disgusting.
He defecates in the backyards of these random citizens, wipes himself, and then leaves. And he
has
not
children's clothes with him to wipe.
That's what he uses to wipe. He has not yet been apprehended. So be careful. If you're listening to this in the Northeast, I know we got a lot of great listeners up there. Watch out for the poop bandit.
I'll also say this. Don't do drugs, kids. There's
no. That's somebody planning. That's somebody planning it. He's bringing.
Oh, I don't think.
You think this guy's stoned sober?
He's bringing clothes with him to actually go and wipe with.
No shot. This guy's sober.
He's bringing children's clothes along with him to wipe with. He's doing this on purpose.
If I did that, I would bring toilet paper.
This is planned.
Yeah, exactly.
This is planned.
I'd have Charmin, Shiny Heiny.
I don't know what he's doing, but oof.
You think this is drug free? You think this is the DARE program of poopers?
I don't know. I know
man.
Believe me, psychopaths.
Drug addicts. What else we got?
Well, we're going to move on to basketball again. Not Joel Embiid, I promise.
Okay.
But a big moment
Don't worry, we'll get back to JoJo next.
We will. A big moment for a rookie in the NBA last night with the Los Angeles Lakers and Dalton Connect, who the Sixers had a chance to take, but Jared McCain's been playing pretty well.
He has been.
I'd say so.
Rookie record for three-pointers in a game?
He's going on it. He's going on its way. Down it goes. Yes, sir. Show off a little bit, Dalton.
So, I still think it's a mistake that they drafted Jared McCain, despite him having the start that he's having. Because
you think it would have been somebody played better with what they had?
No, I don't know how Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain fit.
No, but that's what I mean.
Right.
So that's why you think it is. That's valid.
Who's the three-point sniper on the Sixers team? Thank you. End of story. Like, Tyrese Maxey can shoot threes at 40%, but it's created by himself. Paul George can obviously hit threes. He's Paul George. But who's the catch-and-shoot three-point guy on this team? They had an option. They had a guy right there in the draft, and they drafted Jared McCain, who I like. Don't get me wrong. I've had a lot of fun watching him.
Yes.
But if Tyrese Maxey is back tonight,
and you just signed Tyrese Maxey to the max, you're building around. You're not building around Tyrese, but he's one of the cornerstones of your franchise.
Yeah. Jared McCain's back to the bench tonight, guys.
I did not mean this at all as a Sixers topic remotely when I brought up the Dalton Connect thing.
I didn't get the draft pick at the time, and it's been
He's
fun.
the odds-on favorite for Rookie of the Year.
Who?
Jared McCain.
Yeah. Will that drop once he stops playing tonight?
And what does it do for me?
It means that you went out and you got a guy that had the best rookie season and you could project out a little bit faster than your 40-year-old guys. But the reason that I played the Dalton Connect thing is he needs 4 or 5 more of those games and he'll actually be the best rookie on the Lakers. That title's still held by Bronny James Jr. John?
Yeah, that's great. The jobs program from Bronny.
He had 2 points in the G League the other day.
Wow, isn't that great? Oh, and he's not doing the road games.
A way you could look at it is Bronny
James
James
to fly commercial
and Dalton Connect combined for the rookie 3-point record.
That's a good way to look at it.
I think that's how we're gonna turn
I
that
like
one.
that.
Well, that's
a good way to
headlines.
look at it.
Thank you, Connor. Great job as always.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
All right, coming up next. So we'll hear from you. We'll talk about what we've been talking about today. But I want to do a heart of hearts conversation next of what happens with the Sixers. And I mean, like, starting tonight. So you believe you know how this story ends.
Yeah, I binge watched already. So I'm not going to ruin it for you.
So I'm not asking about the end of Joel Embiid's career. I'm asking about starting tonight and the games upcoming.
Yep.
Heart of hearts, how do you think this plays out following the team meeting that also got leaked? We'll play what Ricky Pitalico had to say yesterday on the best show ever from a former professional athlete's perspective.
It was great.
And look, that's an added storyline here. There's a rat. Somebody spoke to the media. That shouldn't have. So we go into our hearts coming up next. Also, you'll hear the question from Know the Schefter. to win the Jelly Roll Post Malone tickets for the Big Ass Stadium Tour. That comes right next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Faith in the young guys. I'm Connor Thomas. This update is brought to you by AAA Car Care. Save $40 on any repair of $150 or more. AAA Car Care Centers offer valid through November 30th. Details at AAA.com/mycar. Vic Fangio met with the media yesterday, and that defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles, he deserves all the flowers in the world for what he's done with a young and from last year underperforming unit. But a lot of people have questions about the proverbial rookie wall. Is Fangio worried about his young players potentially running into a second-half regression?
Back in the day, you used to hear rookies hitting the rookie wall. I don't think that rookie wall exists anymore because you'd have two-a-days in training camp. Well, that don't happen anymore, so I don't buy the rookie wall.
So that don't happen anymore? We sure hope so, because the Eagles, they still have work to do in their season. The defense has been really good, but we'll see if it holds up against Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Matt Stafford, and the Los Angeles Rams, who the Eagles will take on Sunday night out there in L.A. The Sixers had a team meeting Monday following their loss to the Heat. Per reports, Tyrese Maxey called out Joel Embiid for lateness at team events, among other discussions amongst the players and coaches. We'll see if that conversation pays off as they take on the Grizzlies tonight in Memphis at 8 p.m. You can hear that game live here on The Fanatic. The Flyers take on the Hurricanes 7:30 at the Wells Fargo Center. You can hear that game on WMMR. I'm Connor Thomas for the home of the 76ers and Flyers, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Tyrone Johnson.
The reason I don't respect kickers and punters is because the hardest part about football.
tickets to the big-ass stadium tour.
It's a great, great concert. This is going to be a fantastic night.
Post Malone, Jelly Roll, May 24th, 2025, next year at Citizens Bank Park.
These tickets are going to be huge.
They will be. They go on sale Tuesday the 26th at noon via Ticketmaster. The Live Nation pre-sale starts Monday at noon with password BEATS while supplies last. BEATS, B-E-A-T-S. So if you're trying to get the pre-sale, good thing you're listening to the station right now. But you could just win a pair of tickets right now by playing Know the Schefter. The first caller to get this right at 215-263-0975 will win the pair of tickets. We said, listen closely, Adam Schefter. Saquon Barkley is on his fantasy football team. Who was the other running back that he mentioned that is on his fantasy football team?
I thought you'd go here.
215-263-0975. The first person to get it right on the contest line will win the tickets for the big-ass stadium tour.
Number I saw during the break, I just have to throw it to you. Joe Burrow, who's passed for 3,000 yards already this year.
Yes.
27 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. The players that have achieved 3,000 passing yards, 27-plus touchdowns, with 5 or fewer interceptions through the first 11 games, there's 4 of them. Tom Brady twice in a 16-0 and 13-3 season. Aaron Rodgers twice in a 15-1 and 13-3 season. Patrick Mahomes once in a 14-2 season. And Drew Brees once in a 13-3 season. Joe Burrow should be so pissed off that he's a Bengal.
So I legitimately had this thought yesterday. I'm glad that you brought that up.
I mean,
we didn't plan to talk Joe Burrow at all,
no,
but I'm glad you brought him up.
He should be so angry. He's having one of the greatest seasons a quarterback has had.
The league won't do it. It will never happen.
What?
He should, if he continues at this pace, win MVP. If you're going
they
by,
won't do it,
if you're
though.
going by the book, most valuable player.
No.
If the Bengals didn't have Joe Burrow, they'd be winless. If they did it by the book, he should win MVP. But because they're not going to make the playoffs, or there's a strong chance they don't make the playoffs, he's not going to win MVP. And that's why the MVP award sometimes is, a hack. But, Joe Burrow should legitimately win if he continues to play the way that he's playing despite the team losing, because it's not his fault that the defense can't get a freaking stop. But Josh Allen is the league MVP right now if the season ended today, or Saquon Barkley, because a lot of people also want to say that. Fair?
That's fair.
I think we also have to talk about blonde highlights being bad karmically for NFL quarterbacks.
You might be right.
This ain't 1990.
Yeah, the
Take
highlights,
the frosted tips and shove it.
The highlights may have been the reason why they're losing. You're right. There's something.
It could be that. And some of the outfits he's been wearing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going full clown show.
Walking down a runway.
But the guy can chuck a football.
Yes, he can.
He sure can.
Yes, he can.
All right, so we'll get back to your texts and calls in a second about the Embiid situation, because that's obviously been the big talking point today. Here's Ricky Batalico yesterday. I want to start here, and then I want to discuss the question that I asked about where does this go next. But Ricky Batalico yesterday had a different, layer to the conversation. It's not just that Tyrese Maxey had to call out Joel Embiid, deservedly so, about being late to practice all the time and everything else. But the fact that it got out is a problem. Here's Ricky Batalico.
When that leaks out of that locker room, there is a huge problem within that organization, within that team, within those players that are on that team. Whoever is responsible for leaking that should not be there anymore. Should absolutely be let out of the room and say, goodbye, we don't need you anymore. Because that is a bunch of garbage, what happened. When we have had team meetings, when I've been on the Phillies, we don't sit out there and run to somebody in the press and say, hey, guess what happened in the meeting? Keep it within the family. The media is not your family. The media is looking for something to eat outside. And when you give them something, they are going to run with it. Where Shams came up with this, I don't know. We don't know that. We may find out at some point. But if I am somebody on that team, I am absolutely livid.
You've been in locker rooms before, Johnny.
Yes.
For all sports. Do they know yet where this came from?
No.
Do they try to find out, or do they let it go?
I believe that Joel Embiid will try to find it out.
Okay.
If his camp didn't leak it.
Right, if his camp didn't.
But if he didn't, I believe he will try to find it out. Because Ricky Batalico is that was perfectly eloquent and it's something that none of us bring to the table because we've never been in a professional sports locker room as a player.
Oh, we came close, but
I've been around.
Some more than others.
I've been around a lot of these teams where stuff like this is going on.
Yeah.
I will tell you this, and I think Ricky knows this. I have found out the general tenor of what went on almost every time. Not specific. This was very specific.
Yeah.
Somebody was specific to identify Maxey, to identify the exact message that was delivered, all that kind of stuff. But what I have seen before is when I've tried to find out what's happened at closed-door meetings, it's usually been told to me the general concepts.
Yes.
But usually it's not, oh, well, this is what this guy said, and this is what this guy said.
We had full-blown quotes.
I don't think Ricky would, and I'd love to hear it today when he's on the best show ever, and don't miss it at 2. I don't think Ricky would have as big a problem with someone leaking what was being discussed as much as who was saying who about what. And I think that's the that's the big
If
issue.
the report was like coaching and accountability.
Right,
if that's what came out.
I don't think Ricky would give a damn.
Because that does happen. Now, you guys have been bringing up like Tyrese Maxey's camp or Joel Embiid's camp. I believe the report did say it was someone in the meeting was the source. Right?
Yeah, but his camp gets told, well, what happened in the meeting?
Yeah. Right.
And then they leak it to Shams.
Yeah, so the player like brings it up and then somebody else
Let's say
outside of it.
Look,
yeah.
let's not act like Shams isn't in the pocket of a lot of, GMs and agents, right? So it's easy to think maybe Maxey told Rich Paul, and Rich Paul is connected with Shams. Trust me, Shams says every report when it comes to LeBron first.
He does.
Yeah. It's either him or Wendy.
Totally plausible. I just want to break that out for people listening in case they saw the report and they're like, well, it had to be someone in the room. It could be someone outside that actually leaked it to reporters.
But somebody in the room gave them the information.
Exactly.
And that's it. So when I say his camp, it is a player's camp. And I right now, if I'm flipping a coin, 2 answers. Is it Joel Embiid's camp or is it somebody else? I'm going 50-50. That Joel Embiid's camp is the one that let it out.
It's not my first thought.
Mine either.
I absolutely believe it could be.
Not my first thought,
because I do believe he's I do believe he's a guy who tends to be woe is me.
All right, so what happens next? So they play the Grizzlies tonight. There's a game tonight, right? Tyrese Maxey's questionable. He might be back tonight. Is in your heart of hearts, listen to your heart when she's calling for you.
When she's calling for you.
Is this going to get better, or do you think this starts getting worse? Now, I said yesterday on Twitter, I'm fascinated to see how Embiid responds because I've seen this guy be a miserable mope. But I've also seen moments where teams have come together, and by reports, it was apparently a productive meeting. I just imagine it getting out is counterproductive for the team. So, John, do you think they look better tonight and it starts trending back in the direction we hope to see, or is this going to start to spiral?
Well, I think the team gets better. The team absolutely gets better. As they get healthy, they're going to win more games. Does this situation get better, or are you going to go and all of a sudden, are we going to now see is there any scenario in my mind where this is going to turn out to be a great Sixers season? No.
Well, no,
they turn this around, get hot, and truly are able to push like a Boston or something like that for the Eastern Conference Championship. It is a definitive no.
I'm not getting there.
Definitive no.
Yeah. But
they're going to be lucky to be in.
Yeah, they will be at this pace.
And to me, that's really.
I'm just glad it came from Tyrese Maxey. If it came from somebody else, I think it spirals. Because it came from Maxey and he and Embiid have that connection, I think this starts looking better. Connor, do you think this looks better, or does it start to spiral?
What do you mean start to spiral? How much worse could it look?
It could look worse.
It could look worse.
It could look a hell of a... Like, Joel Embiid looks bad on the court right now because of the ramping up thing.
I got you.
He has looked bad because of mopiness in the past.
I understand.
I've seen it.
But listen, he's looked bad. And the Sixers have looked bad. They're 2-11. How much worse could it get? It's going to get better.
Don't say that. You just said it.
It's going to get better. It's going to get better. I promise it's going to get better.
All right, thank you. Congratulations to Jonathan King. He won the pair of tickets for the Post Malone Jelly Roll concert next year. The answer was Kyron Williams, in case people were wondering. All right, coming up next, We take another break from Sixers doom and gloom. It's power rankings time, Johnny.
Oh, good. You just made my day.
I'll actually deliver it this time, I promise. Where are the Eagles at now in the NFL.com power rankings? They were 5th last week. Sorry. Did they climb up even more? It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Jordan Lundy of Lundy Law. When we say we hope you're never involved.
8:48 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We'll get back to the Sixers nonsense. I'll just straight up call it nonsense. It shouldn't be this way, but
it's a good way to call it.
They have a game tonight against the Grizzlies. Curious to see how this one plays out tonight. So in the 9 o'clock hour, we'll do more of that. We'll also show some love to Saquon Barkley.
Love doing that.
Super love to Saquon Barkley. I'll explain more coming up in a little bit. But it is your favorite time of the week, Johnny.
Oh, no.
And I was late to it last week. And the people were upset. They were texting in asking, where are the power rankings?
Who are these degenerates?
It's just me and my burner phones.
Exactly.
All right, give me some football music there, Connor.
Okay, I gotcha.
Thank you. All right, the NFL.com power rankings, least biased of all the power rankings.
And I agree with you on that, by the way.
Yes, and that is straight up opinionated, but we read all the power rankings. They're the least biased of all of them.
Well, they also have a lot of people chiming in from all over the country.
Yes, exactly. Just to touch on some of the NFC East teams, the New York Giants, they're not dead last, but they are 29th in the power rankings, and they are dysfunctional with Tommy DeVito starting quarterback this weekend. And I love that tweet that I read to you yesterday. Connor, you were out yesterday ill. Thanksgiving is Cowboys-Giants.
That is such a bad game.
Cooper Rush versus Tommy DeVito.
I love it.
It's such a bad game.
Eat your dinner at 4:30.
Hey, I'm tanking here.
Brendan Gunn did the Italian stuff, too. You guys don't have vowels at the end of your...
And Brendan Gunn does the hands in the air like he's the pizza box guy.
You guys aren't. You don't have vowels at the end of your last name.
Don't do that in front of Mikey Miss there, Brendan Gunn.
The Dallas Cowboys, speaking of the Cowboys, they are 25th in the NFL.com power rankings. And the Commanders are in their 10th. 10th. They dropped 2 spots.
Okay.
Ahead of the Texans, by the way, just for context.
They should be ahead of the Texans.
All right, so your top 10. Commanders 10, Chargers 9, Packers 8. They both climbed up a spot. The Ravens dropped from 4 to 7 after their loss to the Steelers.
That's their third loss or fourth loss.
Fourth loss on the season.
Fourth loss. I mean, I think the Ravens are getting a little too much love. 4 losses?
Well, they have a 2-time MVP.
I got you, but 4 losses.
They're a weird team.
They are a weird team.
They're finding ways to lose, not finding ways to win.
Now, they were jumped by the team that beat them in their division, the Pittsburgh Steelers, climb up to 6th. They are 8-2 on the season, as are the Minnesota Vikings, who climb up to 5th. The Eagles climb up to 4th.
Wow.
So back-to-back weeks, they climb up in the rankings. They were 5th last week, 4th this week. They are behind the Chiefs, who dropped to 3, the Bills, who climbed to 2, and the Lions, who stay put at number 1. Here's what they write about the Eagles. Now, remember, we had a whole topic on what they wrote about the Eagles last week, saying that it would be foolish to look ahead for the Eagles because of what happened last year. Let's see what they say this year, or today. It's time to start thinking of the Eagles as championship contenders again. Now, that's funny. Last week, it's foolish. This week, it's time to start thinking that they're championship contenders
again. Is the blurb
again.
written by the same guy?
Eric Edholm, the same
that's
guy.
Not good.
You can't snip, snap, say that it's foolish, and now all of a sudden this week, 1 week later, tell me that it's time to start thinking of them as championship contenders.
Well,
anyways, Thursday's 26-18 win over the Commanders felt more resounding than the score indicated, with some kicking issues on Philadelphia's end keeping Washington in the game. Most importantly, the win staked the Eagles to a bigger lead in the NFC East and kept them 1 game behind the Lions in the race for the NFC's top seed. We've learned to accept their slow offensive starts in nearly every game since the Week 5 bye. They've slow-cooked their way to a roiling boil by the final whistle. Defensively, they're also vastly improved. That's an understatement.
That's huge.
The Eagles mauled the Commanders on both lines of scrimmage. That's a sign of a playoff-ready squad. Philly looks a different and far more dangerous than last year's Eagles, whose 10-1 start was revealed to be fool's gold. So it's funny how quick he changed over a week.
That was a statement win in the NFC because
it was.
Washington's dominated other teams.
Any problem with Chiefs, Bills, Lions in front of them?
Not at all. Bills got to be ahead of the Chiefs. Even though the difference in 1-loss record.
Yeah, but they beat them. They won the head-to-head. So Lions, Bills, Chiefs.
Lions should be clearly the number 1. And as Adam said,
Yeah, Adam Schefter said
they're
it
clearly
as well.
number one.
Speaking of Adam Schefter, you'll hear the 5 best minutes of Shefty coming up at 9:10 today. But before that, we'll continue our discussion about the Philadelphia 76ers. Again, the tweet from Tim Bontemps that was just kind of spot on when it comes to the Sixers.
Staggering, though,
For
right?
a Sixers franchise that specializes in drama, this season is quickly approaching new heights less than a month in. By the way, we've made a lot of the Sham Charania report. You guys know Sam Amick, or
Yes,
Amick, excuse
Sam
me,
Amick.
from The Athletic. He had a story on this, too, and there was a quote from Tyrese Maxey. So there's a total leak if there's legitimate quotes coming out. I'll read you the quote.
Wait, was the quote from Maxey or the quote somebody quoting Maxey? Did Maxey give him the quote?
Sorry, the quote was Maxey saying to Embiid.
Okay, good.
So I'll read you that quote from inside the Sixers locker room coming up next. And Saquon Barkley gets love on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
More drama for the Sixers. I'm Connor Thomas. This update is brought to you by Parks Casino. Bet Parks, you know them. Join Seth Joyner and D Gunn for the Bet Parks pre- and post-game shows live at Parks Casino for every Birds game. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Not only have the Sixers had a 2-11 record to start their season, but we've got more drama with the franchise. They had, per reports, a team meeting after the loss to the Miami Heat on Monday, in which Tyrese Maxey called out Joel Embiid for lateness at team events, and there were other discussions amongst the players and coaches about how they need to start doing things differently if they want to experience more success. Well, we'll see if that conversation starts to pay off tonight as they take on the Grizzlies in Memphis at 8 p.m. You can hear that game live right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. It could be the first time we see the Sixers' big three together as Tyrese Maxey listed as questionable with his hamstring injury. The Eagles, well, they're focused on taking on the Los Angeles Rams out there in L.A. this weekend. Sunday Night Football, another primetime game. And some of the concern with the performance of the young defensive players is not the actual performance, but rather the sustainability with the proverbial rookie wall waiting in the wings. Vic Fangio talked about it.
Back in the day, you used to hear rookies hitting the rookie wall. I don't think that rookie wall exists anymore because you'd have two-a-days in training camp. Well, that don't happen anymore, so I don't buy the rookie wall.
We'll see if that holds true. The Flyers take on the Hurricanes at 7:30 tonight. You can hear that game on WMMR. I'm Connor Thomas for 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ricky Vitalico.
This is a team that has a lot of weapons.
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Sometimes I can't tell if that was you who recorded this song or the guy who recorded the song.
The guy who recorded the song?
Yeah. I don't know what's
Connor?
No idea.
No idea?
Nah. Do you know?
No, I thought you would know.
Oh,
I thought you would know.
Nah, I think it's
Connor's
just some
a music-
random background, John.
Connor's a music aficionado.
Yeah, of course. That's what they always say about him. All right, so we got our 5 best minutes of Adam Schefter that we're going to play coming up at 9:10. And we're going to show some love to Saquon Barkley in a few minutes because it's nice to not always be doom and gloom on a day like
Great
today.
to hear Saquon.
You know, it's unbelievable. We have escaped the drama of the Eagles. And then the Sixers go, nah. You guys like being stress-free? Nah, we'll take care of that one.
Well,
don't
drama
you worry.
in Philadelphia sports is like matter. It can never be created or destroyed or
it's
anything like that. It just can
unbelievable.
be moved around.
It just always happens.
I got a guy on Twitter who's like telling about trying to compare Embiid to like the Phillies. Like the Phillies are getting a free pass and Embiid's getting all this critique, and I'm like,
nobody gave the Phillies.
Where's this coming from? Like, I mean,
where's this coming
I mean,
from?
my God, stop it.
Can we just give the freaking
Would
free
the
pass?
last Embiid excuse maker please turn off the lights?
God.
Stop it.
So Sam Amick, I mentioned that I have a quote from his story. He will actually be joining the Mike Missanelli show coming up at 11:30.
Don't miss that today.
So Sam Amick from The Athletic, he had this part in his story. Now,
what was
again,
that?
I forgot to bring it up earlier. My apologies. But we had the Sham Sharani report that Tyrese Maxey called out Joel Embiid about being late to everything. There is a quote that Tyrese Maxey apparently said, according to Sam Amick, inside the meeting. So somebody's
This is terrible that
leaking.
somebody did this.
Quote, Joel, you know I love you, but it starts with you and your habits, end quote. Not a damning quote, but the fact that it got out is bad.
Okay, what about habits? Read the quote, though. Again, in your mind. And your habits.
Yeah.
Not talking about one thing.
Habits.
Not talking about just being late.
Yeah, being late.
Talking about body language,
Yeah.
dedication to the team, all those other things that think of Paul George. Paul George comes here this summer to try to be a part of something, and then Joel Embiid's not ready to play because of his own choices, totally his own doing. That's terrible.
Yeah, it's bad.
That's just terrible.
I saw somebody put out a tweet like I'd wish I was the fly in Paul George's room right now.
Yeah, guess what though? We got a text earlier, and I'll figure out who sent it. But saying Paul George better count himself lucky that this Embiid stuff is going on because he hasn't been that good since signing his max deal.
No, he's had a couple of nice games. And look, Tyrone yesterday was kind of making that point yesterday on the best show ever, and you know he wasn't wrong. Like
It wasn't. I don't think that was the day for it.
No, but like Maxey, when he was healthy, was not playing good basketball this year.
What does that have to do with their best player not being a professional?
No, it has nothing to do with it. But
correct.
Like
But it's not the Philadelphia Joel Embiid. It's like someone needs to step up if Embiid's not. They have other players.
And to the Texans' point, like it's one of these. They should give Joel Embiid a gift basket for Christmas, saying, "Hey, thanks," because we're not. It's like Nick Sirianni always trying to take the blame for everything when there was other people that were clearly to blame for situations.
Right.
You know, not that Embiid's trying to do that. It's just he's doing it to himself. All right, so some Saquon love that I want to give to you guys.
Love this.
So you guys enjoy watching Saquon Barkley.
Uh-huh.
Is that correct?
Love watching Saquon.
Yes.
You've had fun.
I love watching a great player on a team who's supposed to be one of the greatest players be a professional and do their job. I enjoy it. It's sort of what I expect of a guy who is one of the best players in the team.
Yes. And he is a good leader, and he is a great player.
Right.
So one of the reasons why we should love Saquon Barkley, and I'm going to play you a Nick Sirianni clip going a little bit about the tush push and taking away touchdowns and whatnot. Some of his teammates spoke on Barkley recently. And the teammates that...
Not a closed-door meeting or anything.
No, these were to the media. And the teammates that matter probably most when it comes to Saquon Barkley are the guys that are blocking for him.
Sure, absolutely.
So here's one quote. This was from Jordan Mailata. Lane Johnson. When stuff wasn't going good, he was saying, come on, keep attacking. O-line, keep attacking. It's going to break open for us. It's going to break open. And eventually it did. That's what kind of guy he is. When things aren't going good, I think that's when you really tell a lot about a person. And he never wavered. And if you remember, Saquon was not necessarily having a great game against the Commanders. He rushed for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. That's what makes his numbers look spectacular.
Remember the Saints game?
Yeah.
Wasn't having a great game in the Saints game.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it came all together at the end.
And then Jordan Mailata said his will and want to is on display 24/7. It doesn't stop. It doesn't waver. He's very encouraging, always talking to us, always communicating on what he's seeing, on what he wants. And as an offensive lineman, you'd love that. Just the communication side, the honesty. And it's Saquon Barkley, man. Whatever he says, you're like, yes, sir.
Okay, can I? Is it? And I'm not trying to harp on this. I really am not. But when you hear all that stuff, doesn't that piss you off about Joel Embiid?
Yeah. Not everyone's Saquon Barkley.
Nobody is saying these things about Joel Embiid.
No
one. And that's a bummer. That's a bummer.
Yeah, I don't really think about it. I don't really compare stars on different teams like that. Like, I have my expectations for Joel, but my enjoyment, it doesn't lead into disappointment with other people. I don't know, just the way I'm wired. Like, I hear that, and I'm just like, it's awesome we have Saquon.
It is. It's fabulous. It's fabulous you have Saquon. But your best players, they're the people that they're required to be. Your best player's got to be like that. Right. Your best player has to set the tone. Your best player has to be a positive force, not a mopey, mope. Things aren't going well for me. Woe is me. You got to, it's everything.
The Shaq voice is coming out.
It's everything. I didn't even know what that voice was.
Yeah, but the thing I think about too, right? We have to have some perspective. When we look at like the Saquon thing, and this starts to get into an overarch of where Philadelphia sports is, how many cities have star players that are just all filled with fault, and that's all they got? Or they have like this one guy and he's not enough, and their other teams stink. Like the fact that we can look at a Bryce Harper and can look at a Saquon Barkley and can enjoy the growth of Matvei Michkov, like, and this doesn't, none of this has to do with Joel Embiid like getting let off the hook. But I'm just saying, like, I choose to look at the part of this city where things are going well and say, at least we have this, rather than comparing it to the guy that's not getting his job done.
Why look at it as Hurts? There's not one person ever that could question the work ethic, the attitude, the leadership otherwise. You can question his
question last year.
No, you can question his fighting with the head coach. But his work ethic, he's first in, last out.
Yeah, but the players did literally point out his leadership flaws
and say you need to be more vocal. You need to be more. But he wasn't the problem to that franchise not getting anywhere. He wasn't the problem.
I think part of it was.
Really?
Maybe a big part of it.
Yeah, him and Sirianni disconnect was a big
I think
reason
that disconnect
for
was
last
huge.
year. And we have said on this show, we never took a side. It was both people were to blame. Like, this wasn't, who are you blaming more? 6-1.
I wanted him to be more, just like you got to get along with your
so
boss.
we literally did question.
I said
get
more grace. But no, he leads by example every single day.
That you can't
every
question.
single
Correct.
day.
That you cannot.
And as a
question.
fan, you get his best every single day that he can. That's not what you've gotten from Joel Embiid ever.
You're right.
For the most part.
You're right.
But it's what you get from Saquon.
Yeah, that's what you get from Saquon.
Saquon.
All right, give us a text before we play our 5 best minutes of Schefter there, Connor.
Oh, okay. Sorry, we had the Sirianni thing from Saquon that I wanted to.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let's play that. That's
it.
my bad. Good job. Good producing on the fly there.
A quarterback sneak, it's tough to lose yardage there. The worst thing that you can do in red zone football is move backwards. That's one of the worst things that can happen there and put you behind the sticks. You always want to stay ahead of the sticks because things get harder and tighter down there as you move down in there. So, we've had a lot of success with the quarterback sneak. Jalen scored a lot of touchdowns. Saquon's done a great job of getting us down there, yes. He's got 8 touchdowns, and excited for him on that. And he's playing at a high level. And so, but I think Saquon's a great teammate.
And he's got 3 receiving touchdowns?
Yeah. Yes.
The Green Bay game the Cowboys game, the beautiful throw from Hurts.
And then the first quarter touchdown points against, who was that, Cleveland? Not Cleveland. Cincinnati, yes.
All right, so he had 3 receiving
touchdowns. 3, so that's good. He's got
total.
11 total, which is great.
Now, I don't understand the move backwards thing. Like, I don't know if Saquon Barkley's moving backwards.
But sometimes, no, I've seen teams go backwards in the Ravens-Steelers game.
Yeah, but I believe
it happened.
I believe in Saquon. Like,
so do I. But sometimes you don't get the push up front. You lose a yard. A 2nd and 1 becomes a 3rd and 2.
Yeah, this is where the don't do the tush-push loses weight because you say, well, I believe in Saquon. What would you say, Andrew, are the percentage chances that Saquon Barkley gets stopped for a negative gain?
Very low.
Okay, put it, 10%?
Sure.
What are the chances that the tush-push sees the team go backwards?
Very low.
0%.
No,
not zero.
Like we never see the tush push go backwards.
Go backwards. Okay.
That's what I mean. I've never seen the tush push.
Yeah.
I don't think I can ever remember it losing yardage.
Unless they take a penalty and then
Right.
you don't lose down on that.
Yeah.
And you can run something else. So that's why it's just like.
Look, I'm not totally anti-tush push. It's just.
No, I'm not either.
I don't
I
want
just
Jalen
wanna-
Hurts being at the bottom of a pile when his leg's broken like it was last year.
Or his shoulder getting dinged up or getting a concussion.
Yeah, the second-
And remember the cheap shot in the Giants game on Christmas?
Yeah, and the face masks that had been grabbed of Jalen Hurts during the tush push. It's just something where, once again, it's the risk management discussion. It clearly works, but there's concerns of mine. All right, Adam Schefter joined us at 8 o'clock as he does every single Wednesday. Here's our 5 best minutes of it. Shefty, good morning. How are we today?
Good morning. How are we doing?
We are
very well.
Doing great when it comes to Eagles land, and that's what we're talking to you about today, Shefty. It's nice to not have drama surrounding the Philadelphia Eagles right now. It's nice not having to talk about Nick Sirianni and in-game decisions. But one of the things that's been talked about here locally and now nationally a little bit has been Saquon Barkley and him not getting the touchdowns because of the tush push. You are more connected than a lot of people, so I'll ask you, is there anything there when it comes to Saquon Barkley?
I mean, I have him on my fantasy team. I'm not happy with it.
Of course. Selfish bastard.
That may be the biggest thing, and I'm going to have to talk to Nick about that and say, like, I don't like this. Like, I want some touchdowns on the 1 yard line. You know, the fact of the matter is, I think he's been tackled at the 1 yard line 7 times. Am I correct?
Yes.
Right. So, listen, Saquon has been unbelievable this year. He's been great. But there have been 7 instances where all he needed was 1 more yard, and we wouldn't even be having this conversation. So, ball into the end zone. Don't step out. Whatever it is. Like, he knows how to play the position. I don't have to tell him what to do, but I certainly would appreciate if he did capitalize on some of those opportunities, and rather than the tush push, they give him some of those chances to cash in on the touchdowns that he helped earn.
The opinion on the Eagles around the league when you talk to people that aren't connected like us, that aren't locals. Did the Washington win maybe change some people's thought processes about how real this team is, or do you think it just reinforced what people thought?
Well, I think people expected Philly to win that game, and I think now that they've ripped off all these wins in a row, what's their record right now? It's 8-2.
Number 2 seed by 2.5 games over the Cardinals.
Listen, they're rolling along. And so, to me, they're taking care of their business. And their job is just keep stacking these wins and putting themselves in position. I can't see how Detroit isn't going to be the number 1 seed. I just can't see that. But we'll see how that plays out. That's going to be the challenge. Finding a way, if it goes the way we think, midway or 10 games into the season, to win in Detroit. They're capable of doing it. And by the way, we're just assuming that Detroit holds up as the 1 and Philly holds up as the 2. And things always change. So you just don't know. But it's hard to imagine today that Detroit wouldn't be the 1 and Philly wouldn't be the 2. Although maybe, Detroit loses some guys down the stretch or Philly loses some guys down the stretch. But if both teams stay healthy, I think you're looking at Detroit 1, Philly 2. Although, you see Detroit's schedule here. I'm sitting here.
They have the Packers at home. They have the Bills at home. They go to the 49ers. They host the Vikings. They have a much harder schedule than the Eagles do if you take all the games intact.
But by the way, John, there's not a game there that you mentioned I don't believe that they're going to be an underdog for.
No, I don't think they're an underdog the rest of the way. And the Eagles are going to be an underdog at the Ravens, I would figure. And they won't be an underdog the rest of the way other than that. And the Ravens game might be really close.
Yeah, Shefty, do you think the Lions are in a tier of their own? Obviously, any given Sunday, any team can beat anybody. But if I were to say Lions, Eagles, are they on the same platform in your opinion? Or do you think the Lions still have that leg up, take the win-loss record aside because they're 1 game back?
I think the Lions are the best team in football. I do. I thought that. Now, again, 1 game, like Philly is one of the best teams in football. But Detroit just looks like it just looks like it's their year to me, which doesn't clinch anything. Doesn't mean anything. I'm just telling you, when I watch them, I say, boy, this team is good. I just feel like I say that about them every week I watch them. I'm like, man, they're tough. Like, somebody could beat them, but it's going to take a hell of a game.
Do me a favor. Tell me about if it's NFC title game, and we're talking about Goff and Hurts on that stage.
Yeah.
Are we making too much of the quarterbacks and not looking at the surrounding casts? Or do you believe Jalen Hurts maybe is right there with Jared Goff, is able to lead a team to a Super Bowl? We've already seen it once. For both men have done it.
Right. Both teams have done it, and both men have done it, and both men came up just short. So they definitely could do it and get it done. And I don't know if it's about the quarterbacks. And I don't know if it's all about the quarterbacks. To me, those are probably the 2 best teams because they're the 2 best teams. And I emphasize that word teams, full talent, right? And Detroit's got a stacked roster. Philly's got a deep, strong roster. They're two really good teams. And again, it's a playoff game. Like, of course the Eagles could beat them. I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying today, when I watch these teams, Detroit is the best team in football to me. That's all. Whatever that's worth on November 20th.
Shefty, before the season started, and sometimes we play read between the Shefty. We play read between the lines. You talked about how Jalen Hurts, it was very important for him to have a bounce-back season this year, to play more like 2022 Jalen Hurts than what we saw last year. Do you believe that we're seeing that? Do you believe that the Eagles are in a better place with this version of Jalen Hurts based off of the things that you were kind of referencing to before the season started?
Well, they're winning. They're 8-2. Like, when you're 8-2, everything's great. So that's all that matters. And so they're answering the questions. And by the way, the questions aren't all answered on November 20th. To date, they've answered them just the way they should have. And now they get answered over the stretch run. And now we'll see how they respond in the postseason, because they're tracking to win the division and host a playoff game and make some noise there.
Maybe two. As the 2 seed, you get to host twice. So
yeah, exactly. So let's see how it works out. They'll be judged over the course of the season, but they're in a great spot today.
All right, there's our 5 best minutes of Adam Schefter. You can hear the entire interview on 97.5thefanatic.com, or you could watch it again on our YouTube page. Haley does a tremendous job putting that together quickly right after
Great job, Hale.
Shefty joins us. All right, give us some more texts today, Connor. Of course, a lot of our conversation has been about Joel Embiid. And our question, even though it's been like an open forum for people to just vent, our question is, are you still on board with Joel Embiid? Or if you could move on from him, would you? Now, again, they can't trade him because he just signed the extension. So if somebody calls in and says they should trade him now, well, no, they can't. But if you could, would you? I'm going down with the Titanic. All right, but I know there are people that have been wanting to move on, and I'm sure this may have been a final straw for a lot of people. And, you know, I saw we had a caller on hold who dropped off, unfortunately, that said I would only trade Joel Embiid for the right price. You can't have it that way. Like, if you think that Joel Embiid is a detriment to the team, the locker room, all that kind of stuff,
then you have to move him first chance you get, which would be the end of the season.
Right. It would not be dependent on the return. I get where he's coming from, because you realize that Joel Embiid is the best player on this basketball team, and they only go as far as Joel Embiid goes. But if he's a disgruntled stars don't normally get you a great return. What do we have on the text line?
Edwin checks in, says, I'm for holding Joel accountable, but as long as it's reasonable. Running him out of town isn't going to solve anything. Feel the way you want to feel about him, but we've seen this team without him, and it ain't pretty. Now, that doesn't excuse him for not setting the standard of how to conduct yourself as the franchise player, but that idea of trading him at any point needs to die. Good luck finding another player as talented as him. They don't grow on trees.
And that's been my point from the beginning.
Yeah, but again,
you would have to start over.
And no one wants to do that because of the stupid thing that they did to try to do and create it. That's the reason. At some point you go, if a business model's not working, you go, well, we got to change it. They're not doing that. Nope. And in fact, they doubled down.
So what's your change?
With a 3-year extension. At some point you have to say, is this going to work or not?
And you're
if
saying
not,
no.
No, I don't believe it is.
So what's your change?
I am completely.
So then you trade Joel Embiid, and you're trying to make a team out of Tyrese Maxey and Paul George.
And I'm not saying build around them. I'm not saying doing it. What I have seen is numerous franchises in the NBA since the Sixers began that stupid-ass process that have won championships not going through a process. So I don't want to hear that it's the only option you got and it was such a smart plan. There are numerous franchises that have shown you they can either get knocking right on the door or win a title by not doing that. And yes, I heard yesterday Mike Missanelli was saying, if you know, he always he's put out the subtle stuff about Miami and Jimmy. You know, you take a guy, if you get you're never going to get return like him. You're trading him. You're trading the better player in the trade, but you're never going to get a return. But a BAM, first round draft picks that you don't have right now, things like that, then you reshape your team. Teams have done it and won titles without having to go through a process. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's not easy.
It's what they thought was the best plan at the time, Johnny.
And it was.
And they did get an MVP out of it.
Yeah, it's good.
It's just
that's going to keep you warm at night. that MVP season.
They got an MVP. No, I'm not saying that.
No, what I'm saying is that.
But the plan got them a league MVP.
The idea is to win as a team.
You're
not
right.
to have a successful star.
Yeah, but
well,
the best player on the planet doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah, you need to have a star in order to win.
Yes, you absolutely
Name me the
do.
NBA championship team that didn't have a star on it.
You have to have a star.
And they got one through the process. It's just everything else has gone to crap. And now this is not heading in the right direction. All right, coming up next, we'll hear more from you. It's been a spirited day thanks to Joel Embiid and the team meeting that got leaked, which still should have happened. It is Kincade and Salciunas on this Wednesday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Is the rookie wall a real...
9:31 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Connor, I could be in trouble here.
What'd you do?
Well, it's not something that I did. It's something that John Kincade will do. He just told me during the commercial break that he makes the best brownies ever.
It's one of the few things that in the kitchen that I can do.
And
Betty Kincaid's brownie recipe, which is spectacular.
Chubby Tunis, it was the brownie that did it for me. My mom made brownies all the time when I was a kid.
I do like a brownie.
Dude, I probably made 3 or 4 brownie ice cream sundaes a week when I was a kid, which is why I was large. And I'm worried that John Kincade here is bragging about his exceptional brownies.
So actually, there's a thing. Man, I'm trying to remember exactly. Oh, yeah, just don't eat 1 billion of them, and you'll be okay.
Yeah,
Christina just texted me the pictures from shopping, and she said, which one do you need?
Yes,
so I told her to get 2 boxes because I'm making them for the holiday.
Dude,
so I will make them as part of our thing.
All I know is that there's still that demon in me every once in a while that can find its way out.
You're stronger than that.
Dude, I'm pretty strong if I weigh less than I did in middle school at the age of 30. But every once in a while, that demon, when it hears brownies, it starts barking.
Bro, it's just sugar. Just don't eat it.
Just sugar. Just sugar.
I don't know. I don't have a sweet tooth.
You ever
You're not
smoked a
finding
cigarette?
sympathy
You
in
said
this
it's just
room.
one cigarette?
No, I haven't.
Just one brownie? Hell out of here. By the way, Schefter was texting clearly during our conversation today.
Yes.
He just put out a tweet 7 minutes ago, and I wonder what it could have been he was texting about.
And?
So Colorado obviously has Deion Sanders as their head coach, but it started at Jackson State.
Jackson State.
Ray Lewis has emerged as a candidate, become the next head coach at Florida Atlantic University.
Ray Lewis?
Yes. So it seems
Hope
like
they don't have parties afterwards.
Stop, dude. I knew that was coming.
Yes.
But I remember, I think it was Rex Ryan recently that was complaining about like the new coaches that kind of didn't really have any background, and it's like,
Yeah,
all right.
like Ed Reed did that too for a little bit.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, Bethune-Cookman didn't want to bring him back. And I remember that was a big beef. I just don't think the program had the money or something like that. But it seems like they're trying to turn this into something. And what Rex Ryan pointed out was, look at Dan Campbell. He played for the Lions. He knows the Lions, right? So I wonder if in the future, now this is college, and this is Florida Atlantic, with all due respect. It's not like this is Alabama. But I wonder if the future might be some former coaches. Like Deion Sanders going to Dallas, as much as it would be annoying, because that would be the top story every day.
Yeah, you'd have media members calling him Coach Prime instead of calling him
The thing
Deion
that
Sanders.
scares me the most is that he clearly has a connection with Dallas and might put blood, sweat, and tears into that football team.
Ray Lewis would probably bring that to FAU also. I covered that entire.
Did you?
I covered that entire trial, and I was there for that entire thing.
Yeah.
It destroyed a section of the city.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because
it
of
did.
the negative connotation to it.
Yeah.
And no, he did not. He didn't kill anybody. He was not the killer in it.
Right.
But he most certainly, as he did, had to plead
He had
guilty.
involvement.
He helped them get away from a scene of a murder.
Yeah.
And then hid the limousine and all the other stuff, and then fled the country.
Well, he's the head coach. Maybe he's a candidate for Florida.
Oh my
Atlantic.
gosh!
Do you like seeing? I don't want to say forget everything that happened with Ray Lewis. Do you like seeing former star players becoming coaches?
Why not? Guess what? Temple can have one right now. We got an opening. A former star player in the country to come and coach your program?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a Temple.
Why not?
Ray Lewis didn't go to Florida Atlantic.
No, why not? Absolutely.
I like it everywhere else. I don't like it for teams that I root for.
Washington College goes out and hires,
I mean, we don't have a football team, but if we did, Ray Lewis, you're welcome.
No, I would absolutely love a star to coach Temple football.
Yeah, why not?
Like, I'd absolutely love it.
Especially recruiting purposes.
It's that old thought process of like the star. You get caught up in the name a lot of times with these star players that become coaches, right?
Well, yeah, like
How
Larry
rare
Bird
is
was
it?
a horrible head coach.
No, he wasn't.
Larry Bird.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was. He was not a good head coach.
No, he was not. Where do you get that?
From everything that I've always read about Larry Bird as head coach.
was not a terrible head coach. Absolutely, he was not. He wasn't. He was. In fact, I couldn't believe when he stopped. He wasn't terrible as a head coach.
All right.
I'm like, it doesn't mean you're going to be a good head coach because you were a star.
Because sometimes it's hard for them to tell them what to do when they were just as gifted as they were.
Here's his coaching record: 58-24,
pretty good.
33-17 in the shortened strike year.
Yeah.
56-26. Larry Bird has a 687 winning percentage.
That's pretty good. What did he do in the playoffs?
He had a winning percentage of 615.
Let's not get too caught up on
and an
Larry
Eastern
Bird.
Conference Champions. You're like, Larry Bird was a hell of a coach, and he stopped after 3 years.
Larry Bird sucked.
But I do think sometimes organizations will give
everything that I've always read.
That's well. I
wasn't around for it.
You're reading nonsense. He quit, and he never should have quit.
I think there are times where organizations see the star player name, especially when the guy plays there, but sometimes even when they didn't. And they say, well, I'm going to give more grace to this person because of the skill they had as an athlete, and it doesn't transfer always to coaching. And I think that's a pitfall that a lot of people have fallen into in the past, and it's one that would drive me insane if it happened in this city or for a team that I rooted for. But if it's a team I don't care about, like Florida Atlantic, then go ahead.
Because you want to watch it that way.
Exactly. I think it's cool.
It is cool.
I don't want to be emotionally invested in it.
Got it.
I would love it for Temple.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I would love having a star, some ex-NFL player come in here that wants to coach.
Yeah, bring a pedigree to Temple. That'd be great.
Do something.
All right, what do we got on the text line there, Mr. Thomas?
We got a lot of people mad at you for your Larry Bird take.
Thank you.
No,
oh, my
I'm kidding.
gosh.
But we have people checking in who are not happy with Joel Embiid, and not surprisingly enough. But Bruce says, I personally am sticking with Embiid. Former MVP when he's healthy, one of the most dominant players in the league. Sure, there are some things I would like him to change. Getting rid of him, though, would ruin any chance to win a championship, especially with the window you built out with the other two star players.
Yeah, I mean, look, you have the chance with Joe. Do you believe it's going to work out? Clearly, John has already believed that the ending will be no.
Yes.
That it does not work out. But I believe you have your best chance of winning with Joel Embiid. And that's why I'm not moving on. That's why I'm going down with the ship. And if you do move on, what's next?
I think what you're saying is exactly true. Your best chance to win in 2024, 2025 is having Joel Embiid come back. But is Joel Embiid going to do the things it takes to get himself to be in shape?
It's a great
get
question.
Himself to be.
I mean, that's
left
to be determined.
And at almost 31 years old, I'm not expecting all of a sudden he's going to have there's an epiphany. I'm supposed to be a professional. I'm not buying it.
Well, he may not, but it's a plus 100,000 bet, and you got a free $10.
I'm betting it on Joel Embiid winning.
I'm going to take the chance, and I very well could be wrong.
And this has always been my stance with the people that have wanted to move on from Embiid. And look, John, you've seen me grow over the time of us working together. Like, I don't blame anybody at this point for wanting to move on.
No, you understand it.
And this is an added storyline to the people. I'm sure there are people that have since moved to that opinion. From what happened last night. If you sat on the fence,
if you're on the big Colarulo fence and you're sitting on it, and this story didn't move you into the camp of, I've had enough, then I don't know whatever's going to do it for you.
Right.
Take off the cheerleader costume, and just, it's done. It's done at this point. But if you're somebody who is firmly interested, maybe it got you to move to the fence. Maybe it moved you towards
I don't necessarily think it's cheerleader costume to not want to trade him.
Not accepting his for what he.
Oh no, this is horrible.
Right,
yeah,
exactly. It's horrible.
But if you move on from Embiid, then you're starting over, and it's either do I try to win it while I still have him here, or do I move on? And I would rather try. Still.
I know why you'd rather.
Yeah, I would rather try because then I have to find another extremely talented.
You think you're delaying the inevitable?
Well, you may be, but
because I do think
I could be.
But it's also, if you move on from him, it's admitting that the past decade was for nothing.
And that's why people don't want to move on.
It's part of the reason.
That's what it is. Well, because they believed in this stupid-ass process, and they don't want to go, man, it's long ago fallen apart with the bad drafting decisions.
Yeah.
And some of those moves. It's already fallen apart.
Well,
but I don't think right now has anything to do with the process, at least for me. For me, this has nothing to do with the process. For me, it's I have a top 5 player in the NBA when things are going right. And I would rather take my chances with that than trying to find another one.
Any other top 5 players in the NBA you have to put that disclaimer on?
Maybe no. KD?
None. You don't have to say when
Maybe
things
KD.
are going right.
Well, Kawhi.
He's been playing 30 games a year for how long? I mean, that's
Two-time champion. When
Kyrie
things,
Irving?
when things are going right, he's a two-time champion.
Right, but he's not.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is I can say that about other players.
He's not a top 5 player in the NBA.
Kawhi Leonard won right?
Not now. Okay. Not now.
Well, Embiid might not be now.
Well, that's bad.
All right, coming
You're
up
in
next.
real trouble.
Coming up next is the key three best minutes from today's show right here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
When it started out this year, we're going to use this.
9:46 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic on this Wednesday morning. Again, we had Adam Schefter on earlier today. You can hear that again on 97.5thefanatic.com. And the Sixers play basketball tonight, Johnny, against the Memphis Grizzlies. You can listen to the game tonight right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Tip-off will be at 8 o'clock. Tyrese Maxey questionable. I'm excited to see the three of them together.
Can't wait to see it. Don't want him to rush back Maxey, but I'm excited to see it.
Johnny, you kind of need to. You're 2-11.
If you
don't have any more grace period.
If Embiid, Paul George, and everybody else can't beat the Memphis Grizzlies, dude, you're not even talking about a playoff team then. I mean, at some point, this has got to be, at some point you got to say, Embiid and Paul George, with all the rest of the supporting cast, you can't beat Memphis?
Dude, they gave up a 19-point lead the other night. You need Maxey.
Yeah, you need Maxey,
You got bigger problems.
And no John Morant tonight for the Grizzlies.
Yep.
So,
you got to win this game.
Sixers are favorites.
Oh, wow.
Lay it. Lay it. Whatever you got in your bank account.
Oh, boy.
The Sixers will indeed win this basketball game tonight, and they will cover the 3.5-point spread.
It's about damn time.
They will win tonight, down to 2.5. They will win, and they will cover the 2.5-point spread in Memphis against the Grizzlies.
I got a feeling they win tonight also.
All right, it's time now for the Key 3, presented by Von C. Brewing.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
Johnny, good morning.
And a good morning to you.
It continues. Drama. That's all we get when it comes to our Philadelphia 76ers. John, when you saw the story come out yesterday, what was your first immediate reaction?
I can't believe everybody's shocked. This is exactly who I thought he was. This is exactly who I've been thinking he was for a few years now. I've been off the Embiid train. Not his talent, of course not, but him. I've been off the train because I don't believe he is the kind of dedicated leader that a franchise needed. Like, he thinks he's LeBron. He thinks he's the most dominant player in the NBA. He's said that, quoted numerous times. He doesn't work like it. He doesn't act like it. He doesn't lead like it. And I believe he is who I thought he was. And thank you, Tyrese Maxey, that it finally gets revealed and it finally gets taken out of the shadows and put into the light, because this is the only way this gets worked out. Only way. It's either he's going to move on from here and correct it or not.
Are you still on board with Joel Embiid? Or if there was a way that you could move on, would you? Now, you know how I am. I'm going down to Titanic here because of the basketball ability, because of how dominant of a basketball player he is when clearly his head's on straight and when his knee isn't soup, which it might be right now, and that's his fault. Absolutely his fault. When you hear me say I'm going down with the Titanic, it's because I need to believe that at some point it can click. And if it doesn't click, all right, I didn't think there was a better option. That's my other thing. Like, I don't think trading Joel Embiid, you're all of a sudden going to build a championship contender in the next couple of years, which you kind of need to do now that you have Paul George on a 5-year contract.
Okay.
You can't tank and rebuild when you have Tyrese Maxey and Paul George on max contracts. You just can't. But I'll ask the question. Are you still on board with Joel Embiid? Or if you could move on, would you, John?
I think he's moved on from you. I think he's moved on from us. I think he's mentally checked out. They're finally tired of it, Andrew.
No, why this year? Why is Joel Embiid showing up late this year? You got the best team that you've had.
Because he doesn't care about us. He cares about him. This summer proved it.
Yeah.
When he had the chance to be a good teammate, when he had a chance to be a leader, he had to go to the Olympics. He had to not rehab an injury that he knew he had, and then go on a long extended vacation afterwards. So he needed to take training camp off to ramp up, and he still isn't ready. That's why it's this year, Andrew, because he doesn't care. He got his money too. Even more egregious that I've been grumpy about all long. Why in the world did you give this guy a 3-year extension? Why did you do it? What did he do to earn it?
Well,
oh, come on. Hey,
don't even get me started. No, that's unfair. That's very unfair. He's one of the better players in the NBA.
We're talking about a 30-year-old man, guys.
Yes.
We're talking about, you're expecting the unicorn. You're expecting something to change. He is who he is. He's the same guy he's always been, except now he's in his 30s, and he's gotten paid the bag.
He had the bag before this.
Yeah, he did have the bag.
He just got the biggest bag of his career
second max
this
contract.
summer.
He already did.
He had a signature shoe. He had a max deal. This is not Joel Embiid got paid and he quit.
Okay, explain to me what this is.
I can't, John. That's why it's such a weird thing.
Give me a theory.
Here's exactly what it is. He was selfish playing the Olympics, which you and I did not want him to do.
We did not want him to do.
As JoJo, one of JoJo's biggest fans in the city, I want nothing to do with him playing in the Olympics.
Listen to JoJo's biggest fan.
Okay. Fine.
I'm saying it.
Joel Embiid. I'm saying that's freaking legal name.
No, Joel Embiid.
Joel played in the Olympics. I did not want him to play in the Olympics. He has not been healthy to start the season because he played in the Olympics. That is the problem.
You didn't see this coming?
No.
Nobody
saw this coming, John.
Don't tell me you didn't see it coming.
I did not see this. Okay. I did not see the story coming out yesterday.
No, we didn't see the story coming out yesterday. But you actually are blindsided by this, that this is who Joel Embiid is.
I'm absolutely blindsided by the fact that all of a sudden he's showing up late and isn't caring. When his entire career, it seemed like he has cared. Yes, he is.
Really?
Yes.
No, he hasn't cared his whole career.
Dude, he's one of the better players in the NBA.
No,
of course he's cared.
No, he hasn't.
There it is.
Man, the most contentious, I think, in 178.
Oh, no.
No?
I don't think so.
No.
I think it was our most contentious.
No,
we had the Sixers lost to Knicks. We had the
as far as
Phillies
us.
Nets. No, I know.
Us.
That Sixers, Tyrese Maxey, Dante DiVincenzo one was rough.
That was contentious.
It's always the Sixers, though.
It's always the Sixers,
isn't it?
Yes.
It's the.
I'm telling you this.
It's the astronaut meme when they're in space.
I'm telling you, I'm shocked when I heard it back. I'm shocked at the two of you that you're like, we didn't see this coming. This is exactly what I've seen coming with the end of Embiid forever, and I do believe this is
You're
towards
acting
the
like
end.
this is the end.
I'm telling you right now, that's what I think.
Oh,
that's what I believe.
Let's see if they bounce back tonight.
No, wait.
Which I expect them to.
Another first-round exit? I mean, I don't know. But, I mean, it's like this is the more of the same.
We'll get to April.
Let's hope.
April. That's the Key 3 presented by Von C. Brewing Company in Norristown. Check out their Key 3, the OG Pills legendary Philly Lager, a gold medal winner at the 2023 World Beer Cup for the best American Pilsner. Recipe's been in the family since the 1860s. Walking on Clouds, which is the Von C's flagship hazy IPA, and
the Vienna Lager with all the German ingredients. Get on into the VonCBrewing.com. Get to Norristown as soon as possible.
check them out, VonCBrewing.com.
If you can't make it to Vienna.
Listen, man, gold medal they got.
That is good. That is good. Okay. I think the hazy IPA, though, is one that sounds
I'd mess around with the hazy
That sounds
IPA.
a little interesting.
I kind of need a hazy
sounds really
IPA.
good.
Sixers make me need a hazy IPA. if I'm being honest.
I mean, Sixers Memphis tonight. Get your popcorn ready.
They will win.
You'll hear it right here on The Fanatic.
Yes, sir.
Hey, support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partner, Window Nation. And make a donation today to the AACR, the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives.
What do you think Mike Missanelli talks about?
Oh, Mike. Mikey Mike.
That show comes your way next at 10 o'clock with Bill Colarulo. Ray Dunn back in the saddle after doing some